92.5 Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stat Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Friday afternoon, a fight song Friday afternoon. Connor producing for us as well. We're Sports Time, and we're with you for the next 3 hours. Had to start the show with Michigan, the defending national champions, and also a massive game tomorrow morning for them against Texas. We'll pick that game a little bit later in the show during Friday football forecast. But a busy show to get to today, a lot to get into. College football this weekend. We've got the NFL starting. We had the first game last night. We've got another game tonight. So a lot of football talk over these next 3 hours. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, and that will be ringing out tomorrow in Ann Arbor when Texas and Michigan, when they duel it out. The Manning family, they own the hotel chain, the Graduate Hotel chain, and there's a lot of controversy about the Texas flag flying over the Graduate Hotel in Michigan. They do that at every location for opposing teams in town and for the festivities. That it's no slight at anybody. Everybody's wanting to be mad at Cooper Manning. Find something else to be mad about.
Well, that's good. I saw that same controversy earlier, and I thought it was funny. I kind of hoped that there was the controversy to it, but I guess unfortunately not. And
I was told that hotel that is now under the Graduate brand, that it was the long-standing place in town a lot of times for the opposing team to stay there, and that they've always done it. And a lot of people do this in college football and college basketball. Like when Ole Miss plays in Birmingham, when we get to the team, or in Tuscaloosa, when we get to the team hotel in Birmingham, every front office desk people, all the people, they're all in Ole Miss gear. They all have the hotel decorated for the team paying that big rate.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that, but no, I mean it makes sense. You've got a whole team staying there, and so you might as well just have it feel a little more lively for them. But no, I did see that. I was really hoping that Cooper Manning was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. This hotel right there in Michigan, massive game. Let's just throw up a couple of Texas flags in there, but. That's okay.
Well, he knows business, too. He knows he's got to rent that hotel out more than just football weekend.
That's a great point. I guess that is also an issue that you have to worry about. But, no, that should be a really fun game tomorrow morning to really start the day, an 11 a.m. game. And I think we'll set the tone for the rest of the day of college football.
And the Michigan head coach, Sharon Moore, operating without a contract, which is not – that unusual. A lot of those guys just signed that memorandum of understanding, and then they kind of just work all the deal out.
Sure.
And nobody's going to get cheated at anything. No. Famously, that was what got Mike Price at Alabama. He had not signed anything before that weekend of idiocy that cost him his career.
Yeah, but no, I thought that was also kind of another controversy over this week with Sharon Moore when that news came out that he had not signed a contract, and then people wanted to pull up the picture that Michigan posted where it said signed or whatever, or I forgot what the actual tweet said, and it was a picture of Sharon Moore signing a document, and a lot of people thought that was his contract. And they were like, what's going on here? But again, no controversy there either, I don't think.
And I don't know who represents Sharon Moore, but I would think they would be a little more nervous kind of about that broad memorandum of understanding, and it kind of works that way because if the hammer fell from the NCAA and his fingerprints are all over it, and they could be, I don't know whether they are or not, but if they are, in a doomsday scenario, that's a good way to to get out of, we're going to start fresh with somebody else a lot cheaper.
Yeah, no, that would make it a whole lot easier for them to say, you know what?
If I'm his representation, I wouldn't trust anybody.
No. I would make sure that contract is signed. Whatever needs to be done gets done, because you're right. I mean, that just makes it a lot easier for them. But I don't know if I think that's actually going to happen for with the NCAA admission, but it could, and so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. But no, should be a great day of college football tomorrow, and we'll talk a lot more about that throughout today's show. But Brett, Ed Scott spoke earlier this morning. I want to talk about this because I know we've got so many guests today. It's going to be a lot of college football, so I wanted to get this out of the way early. Ed Scott spoke earlier today, his first public appearance since the chaos that had happened earlier this week. Said some interesting things. Didn't get a lot from him. I thought one of the more interesting things from it was that the first time he saw the anonymous letter was during the interview process with the University of Memphis. That was, he was made aware of that and saw the note. What were your takeaways from his public comments this morning?
Well, I thought that was revealing about his knowledge of it even during the interview process. So it's been out there a while, and it has been out there a while. I first learned about it from a prominent Tiger booster at the golf tournament, and that 3 weeks ago,
sure.
And now everybody knows about it. I think the takeaway quote though from his comments today was when Dr. Scott said, quote, "Absolutely, unequivocally, based on every piece of information I have right now today, Penny Hardaway will be the coach November 4th on opening night." Key part of that, information I have right now, I hope he's right. I want him to be right. I want Penny Hardaway on that sideline November 4th against Missouri. I want him on that sideline for all those tough 13 non-conference games and for the 18 AAC games and a trip to Dickies Arena and a trip like 2 years ago when he won it all there. And I wish we could wave a wand and all this would go away. But I'm afraid there are just so many jilted ex-assistants, former players and things like that I'm just scared of the next thing that would drop. Coach Hardaway can't take much more, can't take many more allegations. But in the end, I hope Ed Scott is right.
Yeah.
And he's coach opening night, and he's coached this year, and somehow power through this.
No, I'm 100% with you, and I think everybody else is that, especially with when this happened, I think, even if it wasn't just 2 months before the year, you want Penny Hardaway to be the head coach of the Memphis Tigers. But, with everything that's starting to come out and is that all? Is there going to be more that comes out? What comes from there? I think it raises the questions. But, yes, I liked hearing that from Ed Scott, and I'm with you. I hope he's right. I hope Penny Hardaway is the head coach, because if he's not, that means, we're calling what happened earlier this week chaos. If Penny Hardaway is not the head coach, the first game of the season against Missouri, that is way, 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 way bigger. Something has happened way, way, way bigger than just what has happened this week, and it would mean really, really bad things for this basketball team.
And had that situation in 1986 when Larry Finch had to assume the duties as head coach, and we just don't want anybody to have to go through that. Ever in a program, much less for a second time, and even had to have an interim step in when Johnny Jones had to step in and run out the year for Chick Price. That would be 3 times. That would be devastating. Don't want that. I hope it just gets down to you got to go out there and win. I hope it's a matter of what really props up or takes down every coach, and that's winning or losing.
Sure, yeah, and that's what you want it to be to come down to, and so you don't want all of the extra things and kind of the off the court issues to hinder a coaching career. But definitely what happened earlier this week was not a good look, and it's something that's not only been talking about and discussed here locally but nationally. And so hopefully that's the end of it, and they can we can get positive news, but I just don't know what's to come next.
It's got very also revealing in those comments earlier today that he said those decisions on the staffing was all Coach Hardaway. So it was no directive of, they go or you go, or what anything close to that. that it was him running his team and doing those things, and I hope that's the case. I feel like that is the case.
Sure, and I'm with you on that, and I'm glad he said that because I had seen that out there, not reported or anything, but people trying to figure out why did this happen, kind of what happened behind the scenes that led to 4 staff members losing their job 2 months before the start of the season. And a lot of people were pointing to, well, maybe Ed Scott came in and told Penny, you have to fire these guys. You have to fire them immediately. And I didn't think that was the case, and now Ed Scott's saying it wasn't the case. Now, do I think maybe there were discussions between him and Penny Hardaway? There definitely could have been, and I think there probably were, but I don't think it was, an ultimatum or anything to Penny Hardaway from Ed Scott of, you got to fire these guys today or we're going to have issues. I don't think it was anything close to that, and I've seen a lot of people maybe trying to say that was maybe the reason, and so Ed Scott saying that today I thought was good. Another thing, Brett, and I know we're talking about his direct comments, I thought it was good for Ed Scott to come out and kind of speak on this issue right after
More
it
is
happened.
always better than less.
Exactly. And I think you see a lot of times, whether it's in athletics or anything, when something major happens, you see the people in charge kind of, they want to get away from being in the spotlight. But Ed Scott, made a point to get out in front of the public and let his thoughts out there, answer questions, and I thought that was great for an AD, just coming in to do that. I thought spoke very highly of him.
Very, very astute take, Bryant, and I think Ed Scott, having been around the block, knowing what he's doing and what he wants to do in his career here, you have to have before you can go out and give more rather than less. You got to make sure you got the story from all the particulars, and I feel certain that he went out and did that. That gives me confidence that he thinks it can be addressed. It can be finesse, that there are answers.
Yeah, and which I think definitely should give you hope after what this week has been for Tiger basketball. And I do think everything I've seen, I know still very, very new to the position, but like you just said, Brett, has been around the block, has been at some really good programs, has been, an AD before. I think Ed Scott has come in here, and yes, there's a lot of unknown, a lot of stuff was kind of put on the table for him and said, all right, this is yours now, take over. I mean, you think of what we knew when he was just taking the job of the stadium renovations for football season just about to start, the fundraising that had to come with that. Then you had to hire a softball coach, I believe it was, when he came in. Now soccer is starting the fundraising for a new stadium. That's all the things we knew. Now we're learning Tiger basketball. There were issues, there were things behind the scenes that are now coming to light. And so, he has had a lot to take over since taking the job, and so I really think he has nailed this job so far. And I know it has not been long, he's still very new, but I think he's done an unbelievable job since taking over as the AD.
And, Brian, we know of a case here locally with Ole Miss over the recruitment of that Ballyhoo signing class of 2013 and a lot of the things directed at the former head coach Hugh Freeze. And we kept hearing at that time, and it really it made a lot of Ole Miss fans very angry that Ross Bjork at that time, we're going to have our say one of these days. We're going to speak one of these days. Nobody ever spoke.
No.
Nobody ever got anything. It was it wasn't. It wasn't more. It was less and less every day in a bunker mentality, and I don't think they could. I think in that case they couldn't get everybody on the same page, and they really couldn't get their story straight, and that hurt them. You can't go out and defend something until you have not just your story straight to maybe for a head fake and to dodge, but for sure to go out there. Because it just makes it worse if you go out there and give bad information.
Definitely.
But I think today was good information and gives Tiger fans hope that maybe this can be somewhat finessed and addressed.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so I thought a really, really good showing for Ed Scott earlier today. Last thing before we set up the show and get to top and not top story, we had the first NFL game of the season last night, Thursday Night Football, between the Chiefs and the Ravens. A great game. I mean, came down to literally the last play. Very fun. What did you think of both those teams?
when they say game of inches, I don't know if my big toe's an inch long.
Well, that's a very good point. I mean,
it may have been a game of a half
yes,
inch last night.
Literally came down to the game of inches, or maybe less.
I mean, maybe cut the toenails a little tighter.
Right, yes.
It was real close, and that quarterback play and the quarterback play on display now we have across football. It's so compelling, and it makes it a lot more fun. I would much rather watch Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson doing that. And I know some people, we're playing sissy football now, and you can't hit the quarterback. I would much rather watch those two excel at doing what they did and put on display last night, what we see around college football, than the quarterback having to look out of the ear hole and not know how many fingers the trainer's got up.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think the less injuries and concussions and all that stuff is definitely better. But you're right. I mean,
Brian, I go back to the hit Joe Montana took against the New York Giants one time. I think Leonard Marshall hit him totally legal in that day, blindside hit. And Pat Summerall came back in that Pat Summerall style. And Montana, I mean, I think he's probably suffering effects from it now and later in life. And he said the report from the sideline is everything on Joe Montana is hurting. Third down and 4. I mean, and that was kind of it for the day. And that doesn't make it right.
No, not at all. And so, I mean, it's definitely, rules are different and things are definitely different than what it used to be. But, you look at the play out there, and I think it's at an all-time high level, and we saw a little bit of that last night in a really entertaining game with how close it was. We'll talk more NFL and a ton of college football throughout today's show, but let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line will join us to talk some wagering. I got to get some picks. Last week it was all college football. Now we'll get to both college football and the NFL. 3:45, we'll talk about the Tigers matchup this weekend against Troy tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And we have some tickets to give away for that game, so keep listening. We'll give away some tickets during that segment at 3:45 and maybe more throughout the show later in the day, courtesy of our friends over at Sissy's Log Cabin. So we'll do that at 3:45, talk about Tigers and Troy. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net will join us. We'll talk more wagering with him, get more picks from our guy Bruce. 4:30, we'll talk about the weekend for the SEC as some really interesting games. We've already mentioned the big game between Texas and Michigan, but some good matchups this weekend in the SEC. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith will join us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC as Arkansas, a big game for them tomorrow as they head over to the state of Oklahoma to face off against Oklahoma State. We'll get his thoughts on that game, what he expects, and also what he thought of week 1 for the SEC. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show. We'll wrap up this week with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the world's biggest spa sale going on now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing, it's available. And don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools, and all patio furniture is priced to move. So get over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Wherever we are, we're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and we appreciate them so much. And I know Billy will be out at the Tiger game tomorrow pulling hard for the hometown team. Produced by Connor Dacus. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We're Sports Time. We're with you until 6, and we want you to be a part of our show at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk number. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Every day this hour brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901 334-9673. But stop by today, tomorrow, at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500. You'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be kickoff weekend for the NFL. It started last night with Thursday Night Football. We just talked a little bit about that game. Chiefs and Ravens came down to the last second when Lamar Jackson tried to find Likely in the back of the end zone, and the tail end, the very tip of his cleat was out of bounds, so it was ruled an incomplete pass. I thought that game was going to go to overtime. I was really excited. Free football on the first night of the NFL season, but that wasn't the case. The Chiefs start the season 1-0, but now, after all the excitement last night, we don't have to wait till Sunday for the next game. Tonight, Packers and Eagles in Brazil. We have the coverage of that broadcast tonight. We'll start with pregame at 6:30 tonight, and that action will start about 7:15, 7:20 or so down in Brazil. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and then we know what's to come on Sunday. But I thought a great start to the NFL year last night, and I'm really interested to see what we'll have tonight in Brazil.
The NFL never misses, do they?
No, not at all.
They never miss. My top story, the Memphis Tiger football team with another tune-up tomorrow against Troy. Same for Ole Miss against Middle. Tennessee, a big one in Charlotte versus NC State. Some putting Nico and the Vols on upset alert, not a chance for me. Mississippi State real late tomorrow night in Tempe against Arizona State. But the big local game, it's must-win for the Razorbacks in Stillwater. Oklahoma State favored, and a good, scrappy, hard-fought, tough-luck loss for the Razorbacks. That won't do it. Their fans have had enough. They've had enough of the heartbreaking losses. They've had enough of the blowout losses. They need this win. A bad loss portends bad days ahead for Sam Pittman.
No, it absolutely does.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, I had no idea that you were even going to have Arkansas and Oklahoma State in your top story.
We did, though, Flipperooski. I'm going NFL. We're not.
Well, not even that, because I'm not even talking about the game tomorrow, but Mike Gundy spoke today on Sirius XM, their college football station, and was asked about the story that came out. I guess it came out right before week one, that every player on Oklahoma State was going to have a QR code on the back of their helmet that would send you directly to where you could donate NIL money for that player. And then either the night before that, Friday night or Saturday morning, the NCAA said, nope, we cannot do that. Y'all cannot have the QR codes on the back of your helmets. And so this quote today from Mike Gundy about the NCAA prohibiting Cowboys from using QR codes on helmets. This was his quote. Basically, if you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, then it's tough to lead. That's what you're getting right now with the NCAA. People that can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So Mike Gundy not happy with the leadership from the NCAA and their decision to not allow them to wear QR codes. Now, I thought it was going to be a little tough, a little silly to have those QR codes on the back of the helmets. I think it's great. I think it's perfect to promote. It got people talking about their NIL. But who's really going to be watching the game there or on TV and trying to scan in on the QR code on the back on somebody's helmet? It would have been cool to have, but definitely some interesting quotes from Mike Gundy today.
My not top story, I'll take those two teams from last night. Fast forward to late January in the AFC Championship game with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. That'd be fine. Almost perfectly scripted opening night. Even the rain delay built the drama. We couldn't wait to get it started. You want spectacular quarterback play, we got it last night. We get it right now in modern football across the board, even at the high school level. Bryant, you see it everywhere you see quarterback play. It's as good as I can ever remember it. Spectacular last night.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, 28 of 41, 273. Rushed 16 times for 122 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 20 of 28, 291 with a touchdown. Next week, Mahomes plays Joe Burrow. You're going to get it again next week. and Lamar's at home against the Raiders.
Yeah, no, you're definitely going to get some good quarterback play really all season long in the NFL. I mean, I think the quarterbacks that are starting for all of these teams are definitely at the top of the game. I mean, you look around, and I was doing this the other night, trying to look through at all the NFL teams and what quarterback I didn't think was starting caliber, and there's really only one or two quarterbacks out there that I would say maybe not. I know I've talked about before with Las Vegas, the quarterbacks they have. I'm not a huge fan of Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, but outside of that, I mean, it is excellent quarterback play from every single team out there in the NFL. We got it last night. You mentioned the run game last night was incredible, and what Lamar Jackson was doing with his legs was
now some of that
really
was
good.
opening night too. Week 15, I don't know that Lamar can move like that.
No,
after you take the toll of the season.
No, not at all.
But it was sinful how the quarterbacks in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s took some of these hits.
No, you're absolutely right with that. It's just, a different quarterback play in the NFL right now. We're about to get to a break. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let me remind you before we get to this break that we have so much coverage of college and the NFL this weekend on this station, Sports 56. We mentioned it last night. If you were in the car driving around, you got to hear the Chiefs and Ravens first game of the season. Tonight, Packers and Eagles will have coverage starting at 6:30 with the pregame show. Tomorrow on Saturday, we are the home of the Ole Miss Rebels. So we'll have Ole Miss versus MTSU. 1 p.m. is that pregame. It's a 3:15 start, so you'll get a little bit extra time on that pregame show. And then Sunday, we've got you covered with a triple header. Patriots at Bengals at noon, Raiders at Chargers at 3, Rams at Lions at 7 p.m., and then Monday Night Football. I know we'll talk to you again on Monday, but Jets at 49ers at 7 p.m. We'll have that coverage of the first Monday Night Football game of the season. Well, we need to go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking wagering with Alan Bell.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianelderroofing.com.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
For life's spectacular moments, only a real diamond will do. At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll discover a brilliant selection of natural diamonds, along with our promise of unmatched quality and service. The only real diamond is a natural diamond from Sissy's. Find yours when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Discover the natural diamond of your dreams only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Sportsworthy and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some wagering, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line joins us to make some picks. A busy, busy weekend. So you've got a bunch of college football action. Also, the NFL Week 1 is back. So, Alan, that's what I want to start with first. First of all, thank you so much for joining us again. But I want to start off with this Packers and Eagles game tonight in Brazil, so kind of a new terrain for the NFL and for these teams. Right now, the Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite tonight. That line's been moving. I know it was at 3 a lot of places. I think I saw earlier in the week a 3.5 somewhere. Now the Eagles a 2.5-point favorite. The total sitting at 49.5. What do you like about this game, and is it kind of making you think about this game, handicap this game differently because it's being played in Brazil?
Absolutely it is. All right, first off, I appreciate you guys having me back. And yeah, I mean, it being played out there absolutely has me questioning it. Now, am I right? I don't know, but my thought process is that, yeah, it's a lot of travel, it's a lot of difference, it's a lot of time difference on the body. It's a completely different field, completely different everything. 49.5 to me seems like a very high number. I know that both of these teams, are offensively built and they can score, but man, for a first game of the year, that's a big number there. I'm kind of thinking on the under here, especially in the first quarter of the first half, right? Like I could feel some running the football because both teams have brand new running backs, Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. But this is my thought process, man. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like that.
I'm with you, Alan, and my big takeaway on this game is it counts, but it feels like a preseason game.
Yeah, it does. You're right. And especially, what do you like? What can we expect from the teams, right? So Green Bay, that great locker room, great everything. Like that they ended the season pretty high. Philadelphia was the complete opposite. A.J. Brown was the only guy that was yelling like, hey, fellas, we need to be together. We need to be a team, Everybody else was just going their separate ways. I have no idea what to expect out of that locker room, right? I know A.J. Brown will be grabbing footballs out of the sky down there, right? That's what he does. But other than that, man, I just don't know what to expect because the Eagles could be so good or they could just, the last we saw, Tampa Bay beat the brakes off of them. And so I'm not sure what to expect.
Well, Alan, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about that because I think, a lot of people are forgetting how the Eagles season ended last year with, really it seemed like a lot of locker room dysfunction. It really felt like the team kind of lost their respect for Nick Sirianni. Now a lot of people wondering if he's on the hot seat in Philadelphia. How much do you think that was locker room dysfunction? Maybe we have a real issue with this team, or the fact that this was an Eagles team coming off a Super Bowl appearance, the season starts going the way, a different way than they thought it would, and it's just super ultra competitive guys just really frustrated on how the season was going.
No, I think it's the locker room, right? Because, they started hot. This team was on fire, man, and then the second half of the season, I don't know what happened, and that's the hard part is that we don't know. You know what I mean? And it's like, it could have been anything. It could have been somebody taking somebody's chain out of the locker room. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? But it's like there was a catalyst, and it set off, and it was like it wasn't just a 1-week thing.
Right.
It lasted for seemingly 10 weeks, and then it's like, okay, they make the playoffs. They won 11 games last year, right? So it's like they make the playoffs, but it's like, okay, we got it all together. Let's calm down. Let's be good. Nope. Came out, and it was the worst game that they ever had, right? So I don't know. It's like, can something like that be fixed? It's almost like you look at it like a marriage or a friendship. it was that bad, and it lasted for 2 months. You know what I mean? So it's like I have no idea if this has been resolved or not. I mean, I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to find out about the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis, opening day starter. He didn't do that last year in Chicago against their rookie quarterback, who's been named captain. The Bears, a now 3.5-point favorite, 4.5 in some places, over the Titans, home state Titans. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with the Bears here. In 3.5, I hate that number when looking at both of these teams. But I think that the Titans they're going to come out. They're going to try to do stuff. But I think that there's going to be just some pauses, right? You've got some offensive line issues. You really just got a lot of new pieces and parts. You got a brand new coaching staff. And, yeah, I mean, Chicago, what you just said, like they've got new pieces, too, specifically at the most important position. But Caleb Williams seems fired up, man. And this is a guy who, after everybody kind of, degraded him when he was drafted, you know what I noticed? That stopped when he got on the field. No one was saying anything after that, and I think that he's going to carry that into week 1. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think that you could look at a total here playing the under. If you're looking at props, field goals are your best friend in this game. Cairo Santos, solid. Nick Folk for Tennessee, solid. I can see both offenses having success between the 20s and it being a little difficult inside the 20s in the red zone. So I think field goal kicker props over 1.5, both teams, probably your best bet.
I like that. I got to ask about my Dallas Cowboys. They start the season as underdogs Sunday afternoon. The game of the week on Fox. It's going to be Tom Brady's debut in the booth. Right now, Browns a 2.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 40.5 in Cleveland, Ohio. What do you think about this one?
I like the over in this game. Even though both teams have great defenses, I don't want to pick the spread because I really like Cleveland this year, but there's no Nick Chubb. Right. And I really like Dallas, but they've had kind of a crazy, hectic offseason, right? So I want to play both teams come out and just put points on the board because that generally is what fixes problems. And it fixes problems for the biggest players on the field, Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, I think, is going to have a pretty good year. I think he's kind of tired of hearing all the stuff and the negativity. And he's a good player, and I think he gets back to that because Cleveland has a good football team. And Dak Prescott, I mean, he's Dak Prescott. He's fantastic. CeeDee Lamb, he's locked in. I worry about the run game a little bit for Dallas. That's what I'm focused on is how well can they run the football because if they can, the Browns will tee off on Dak for sure. But, yeah, points for this one. That's a low total, man. I like the over.
Over the 40.5. That's just, that's just 6 touchdowns for NFL teams, 3 apiece. Sounds easy, doesn't it, Alan?
It sounds real easy, man. Anybody can do that. Let's go.
Anybody can do this, yeah. Give us your favorite NFL play this weekend.
Yeah, okay. So I have 2 of them. Number 1, the Raiders and the Chargers are playing each other, and these 2 fan bases have hated each other forever. And you've got 2 former players as coaches, breaking in Jim Harbaugh. I like the over in this game. There will be no defense played on either side, even though both head coaches are tough dudes. It's going to be a ton of scoring. And here's my favorite play of the weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers +3 on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Atlanta Falcons will be a good football team this year. But in week 1, with a brand-new quarterback and all kinds of different things, our new head coach and everything moving around, these are games that Mike Tomlin has feasted on forever. And I don't believe Russell Wilson's going to be a great quarterback for 18 weeks. But I think he can do it for 1 week, and I think he's tired of hearing the negativity. Give me Pittsburgh. That's probably going to be a super low-scoring game. I'll take the Steelers to give me 3 points.
I like that. Talking to Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He joins us every Friday to talk wagering. Let's jump over to college football before we let you go. Big one tomorrow morning on Fox. 3rd-ranked Texas against 10th-ranked Michigan. Right now, Texas about a 7-point favorite. That total sitting at 42.5. What do you like in this marquee Fox game tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think Texas had a great week 1. I think we'll see a little bit of regression of the mean. Michigan, not a great week 1, at least offensively. I think they'll get a little bit better. I'm going to take the over in this game. Everybody's going a different direction. That's a low total there. I think Texas will score. Michigan's got a good defense. Texas has one too. But I think that you're going to see a better Michigan offense, and I think you're going to see Texas try to do their thing and score points as well. So give me the over in this one because sitting at 7, and especially 7.5, those spreads could get a little lurky here. I'll roll with the over.
That's over 42.5 all summer. That was around 48.5. I think they saw a lot of Michigan's offense that made it go down, but they also saw Michigan's defense that will make it go down a little bit against Texas, and they saw Texas's defense as well. The Tennessee Vols play in Charlotte tomorrow night against NC State in the Dukes Mayo Classic. Hard pass for me. No Mayo for me, please. Tennessee, a 9.5-point favorite. Over and under 60.5. What do you like with Vols and Pack?
Boy, we've seen a lot of spread movement in this one. 2 days ago, Tennessee was a 7.5-point favorite, 8. Now it's a 9.5. It's even a 10 in some spots. Look, I like the under in this game. I think NC State, same thing we just talked about. NC State, not a great week 1. I think that they played better. Tennessee looked great. They were playing Chattanooga. I think that they'll come down to earth a little bit. Still got a very young quarterback back there. I like the under in this game. I can see some ball movement and then unfortunate punting and long field goal attempts that might not get through. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm not playing any spread that large because Tennessee's offense can go, so it's risky anytime that you are going to fade them, especially if the number is under 10 like that. But I like the under. I just think that it's going to be a little more hard fought in the trenches than people think that it will be. Because NC State can go in the lines, and Tennessee can too. And it's going to be, I think that's where the fight's going to be.
I like it. Last thing for you, Alan, I'm going to give you I'm going to ask you about a game, and then I'm going to ask you for your favorite college football game. I got to ask about the hometown Memphis Tigers tomorrow against Troy. You talk about line movement in that Tennessee game. Kind of the same thing here in this Memphis-Troy game. It is shot up now all the way up to Memphis, 18.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 57.5. What do you think about that game? And then what is your favorite game that we weren't able to get to in college football this weekend?
Yeah. So I like the under in that game as well. I think Memphis is going to play a great game, but I could see that it being you're up, and you know what? Let's not mess around.
Sure.
All right, let's get this thing over here. Let's run the football. Let's run some clock, and let's just
get ready to go to Tallahassee.
There you go. Right, which is a game they could go down there and hammer Florida State. Right. So it's like exactly that. Like let's just win the game. Let's not try to do anything crazy. They're not playing to a spread. Just get in there, get the win, be healthy, and get out of there right now. You talk about games this weekend, man. There are some tough ones because there's a lot of big spreads that are out there. But I will tell you this. Iowa State and Iowa, over 35. That's right. I said it. Over in an Iowa game. I know. But here's the thing. Iowa can score. They've got a little bit of an offense going. And Iowa State, this game is, you want to talk about rivalries, it doesn't get enough love. There's absolute hatred between these two teams, two fan bases. I like the over 35. I think everyone in the public is going to ride that under, and I am going the opposite way, man. Give me that over 35.
Alex, you're almost breaking news. We know the nationwide legalization now of pro and college sports wagering. Just about everywhere you turn, whether it's app or brick and mortar place. I didn't know it was allowed and legal though to bet an Iowa over.
I don't know if it is.
I know. I'm telling you, man. Watch it. Iowa can go. I think that finally, and especially with the suspension to Kirk Ferentz, I think they're kind of finally getting there to understand. Like, hey, you're gonna have to do something here, Chief. We're gonna have to figure it out. Even though he wins a bunch of games. I'll also say this: Nebraska minus 6.5 at home against Colorado. This is going to be a huge game for Nebraska fans. Big recruiting weekend. I'm telling you, when you turn that thing on at 6:30, I believe it's 6:30, it's going to be rocking. Give me Nebraska minus 6.5.
I like it. That's going to be another fun game tomorrow. Well, Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend, and we'll do it again tomorrow or next Friday.
Hey.
I wish we were doing it tomorrow.
Hey, I was going to say, give me a call. Give me a call. We'll do it again.
We'll be texting you tomorrow.
That's right. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan. Be safe.
Okay.
Good luck.
Have a good.
Thank you.
Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and driving the line. Talk some wagering, talk his favorite bets of the weekend. But we need to get to a break. When we come back, Tigers in Troy, the big one tomorrow morning here in Memphis. As the Tigers, their final game before they head down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. We'll talk about what we expect to see in this matchup for tomorrow. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis, now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Hi, this is Jimmy Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We're celebrating 40 years in Memphis since opening our doors in 1984. And we want to thank you, our loyal customers, with some throwback menu items and some throwback pricing. For a limited time only, dine inside at any of our 4 area locations and get a world-famous full slab of ribs with 4 sides for only $19.84. We are also bringing back our legendary barbecue shrimp for only $13.99. And you can even have them served on a bed of cheese grits for the best barbecue shrimp and grits anywhere in town.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Sports
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We just got some picks from Alan Bell. We'll get some more picks at the start of our next hour when we talk to Bruce Marshall. But we got to talk about this Tigers and Troy game tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Tigers 1-0 after their win over North Alabama last week. Troy comes in 0-1 after falling to Nevada in their Week 1 game. And we actually have a pair of tickets to give away. Our friends over at Sissy's Log Cabin, they're nice enough. Will be giving us tickets pretty much every Tiger football game this season, home game this season. And we thank Sissy's Log Cabin so much. Very kind of them to help us out to give y'all some tickets. So we'll do, since the Tigers are 1-0, we'll just make it easy. First caller to the Sissy's Log Cabin
There you go.
listener line, 901-360-8255. You'll get a pair of tickets for tomorrow's game against Troy. And Connor will just get your name and phone number, and we'll get those over to you. So call in 901-360-8255 if you want to go to the Troy and Memphis game tomorrow morning. Oh, Brett, when you look at this matchup, I know we've been talking about it all summer. Maybe it lost a little bit of its luster with how Troy started the season last week, but it's always kind of felt like a little bit of a trap game with Florida State next week. Memphis has got to get past Troy. What do you expect to see in this matchup tomorrow?
And Brian, in conversation we've had all summer, there was a time I was scared to death of this game. No longer. I think the Florida State coming unraveled and the 0-2 start for them, I think that's actually helping Memphis for tomorrow because instead of looking at second or third or fourth ranked, whatever FSU would be if they were 2-0 and had just put on bulldozer displays in Dublin against Georgia Tech and on Monday Night Football this last week at home against BC. Well, instead, it's not the anticipation, the look ahead that it maybe once was. I think Ryan Superfield probably will like that because he's going to get them all Sunday night together and get ready for next week after starting 2-0 and defeating Troy. So I'm not as scared of this game as I was most of summer. And when we had Barry McKnight, you were out Wednesday, we had Barry McKnight, the voice of Troy football on, and we all know this. This is the story on them. There's a lot of a new head coach, a lot of new players, and something really new. It's very rare for them to be coming off a loss.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about both these programs in recent year. They've done a lot of winning, with what Memphis has done, what Troy has done, in the Sun Belt, and has good football over these last couple of years. Back-to-back, seasons where they had more than 10 wins. So they're not used to this change. But you're absolutely right. You lose your head coach John Sumron. I was talking to Dave Woloshin earlier this morning, and we were kind of talking about the fact of where Group of 5 programs are right now in this day and age of college football, where places like Troy, your coach leaves after a lot of that success. A lot of those players that are on that team are either going to follow him to that school that he went to, or because of how much success you had at Troy,
you start over.
Exactly. They get other opportunities to go somewhere else. And so you start off, or with this new coach that comes in, you've got to start off with completely new guys, a lot of guys that might not have that experience at the D1 FBS level of starting. And so it's
if
really
Caleb
hard.
Downs will get out of town when Nick Saban leaves, other players are going to do it at other places. But I think it is more prone to happening in group of 5 places to follow that coach. Now John didn't go to Power 5, but he went to a program more established.
And I think
Troy.
the bigger part of it is, when Nick Saban leaves Alabama and those players want to leave, it's very easy for whether it's whoever they went hired to come in and say, hey, this is Alabama, and people are going to want to come. Very different at a place like Troy to try to get guys to come in and play there as
then
easy.
There's basketball. John Calipari, and he's doing it kind of in his public speaking around Arkansas. When he got there, He didn't have a player.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, completely start from zero. So, it's definitely challenging. And so I think Troy's going to get better as the season goes on. But with how much new, I think the Tigers are going to win pretty easily. I know we're going to make our picks here in about an hour and a half during Friday football forecast. But, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to do it easily. there are some things I want to see. I want to see that offensive line, improve from last week. I want to see what the run game looks like. And especially, I want them to run the ball. I want to see what it looks like without Sutton Smith back there. Mm-hmm. How do those carries look? How are they divided up with that backfield?
But I don't want too many hits on Mario Anderson because I want him fresh next Saturday morning down in
that's right.
Tomahawk Chopland.
That's right, yes. So, no, it's going to be an interesting game they play, and I think you'll see,
I think we scared Connor doing the chop, didn't we? I think he was trying. I think he thought we were trying to go to break or something.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's okay. We're just excited for the Florida State game, I guess. Yes, no. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see tomorrow, especially at the running back position, if the Tigers have a comfortable lead, you will see a lot more Duosier, some of those younger guys, get the play. Because now, last week, when you had both Sutton Smith and Mario Anderson, it was fine. We got two backs, mix them in there, get as many reps as you need. Now, with Mario Anderson as the starting running back and really kind of a lone back there, you want to try to save him for next week.
And there's a point in tomorrow's game that the coaching staff has to decide, okay, we've seen enough of Seth.
Sure,
we've got to have him upright next week.
That's
and I don't want a whole lot of quarterback runs tomorrow.
No.
I want to get to 1:30, 2 o'clock tomorrow and get ready for FSU.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that. But it should be a fun one tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. But we need to wrap up this first hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking more wagering with Bruce Marshall.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa set might go on forever. Family Leisure. With Run at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
We're here with David Cooper, Vice President of Genesis Diamonds. David, we're familiar with iconic brands. Are there designers for engagement rings?
Absolutely. Like every other industry, there are 10 renowned bridal designers who have been leading the industry for years. They're trusted, respected, and exclusive. Every jewelry store wishes to help.
So what makes these designer engagement rings so desirable?
These designers drive a surge of customers to the store, making it the place to be. They attract shoppers who value quality, sophistication, and the ability to express their individuality.
Customers find these engagement rings in other stores?
Absolutely. Other stores would love to have them, but they have to sell for what they can get and what they wish to have.
So Genesis is cornered the market.
Certainly. World-class exclusive selection from $1,900 complete rings to $250,000 silver rings. Custom designers of the world create these one-of-a-kind rings specifically to showcase
Genesis Diamonds, popular in markets extended.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is an ACUSA church located in town Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I can still see a pretty good slowdown that has developed down there in Coldwater, south of Memphis, down in Tate County on 55 going southbound. Again, give yourself a little bit of extra travel time headed in that direction on 55 southbound, south of Memphis. Traffic's cranking up out here where you would expect, especially on Sam Cooper going outbound, trying to get through that construction zone. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. Go by and see them this weekend. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, BamSports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with him captain sports talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Brian and Brett.
Bruce Marshall joins us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net to talk some wagering. A lot of games on tap in the world of college football, so let's get right to it and start with the big game tomorrow morning in Ann Arbor at the Big House. Texas and Michigan, a matchup of top 10 teams. Bruce, thanks for joining us. What do you like in this game right now? Texas, a 7-point favorite. The total sitting at 42.5. What do you think about this one tomorrow morning in Ann Arbor?
Texas, but I don't like to go Texas, but I think I will. Hook 'em horns here. I really don't know. I know what the rankings say right now. My gut feel is Michigan is not a top 10 team this year. I'm not even sure they're a top 20 team, and we'll see as the season progresses. But there looked to me to be a very big downgrade for them offensively, especially at quarterback last week. They were struggling with Fresno into the midway in the fourth quarter. It was a 6-point game. They didn't even gain 300 yards of offense. I mean, they've lost so much. We know about Harbaugh leaving. We know about McCarthy leaving. We know about Blake Corum leaving. But I mean, this was sort of the heart and soul of their team, and it's not going to be the same as it was last year. Texas, at this stage this week last year, went into Tuscaloosa and beat a better Alabama team than they'll be facing tomorrow in Ann Arbor. I point out one thing, too. They both played Mountain West opposition last week at home. Comparable, maybe Fresno's a tick above Colorado State, but Colorado State had no chance against Texas. Texas rolled in that one 52-0, and we talked about Michigan
really having a fight with Fresno, and that score was sort of deceiving at the end, but they had some trouble. So I think that's a little illustrative of where these teams are at right now. And, Quinn Ewers has been in some big games, and I think they'll do it. I just don't see anything in this Michigan offense. These new quarterbacks completely unimpressed me last week. Texas wins. They'll handle that number. I'd be surprised if they don't handle that price tomorrow in the big house.
Texas wins. Bruce Marshall comes out firing on that one. Bruce, did you ever think Steve Sarkisian would recover his head coaching college career to this point? If he wins tomorrow, you mentioned go to Bryant-Denny Stadium, win last year, go to the college football playoff last year, lose to a good Washington team in the national semis. Now everybody expecting him to be good this year, and the talent level looks like it's supremely loaded. Did you think Steve Sarkisian would get back to this point?
Not necessarily. I wasn't even sure about that hire at Texas. I didn't like the way they moved Tom Herman out when they did, but it looks like it's sort of working out now for the better with Sark. I mean, the first couple of years were not really any better than what Herman had done there at Texas, but last year things did sort of come together. Though I still think Texas did catch some breaks last year, and not having to face Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game and getting a much easier or a much more forgiving opponent in Oklahoma State helped them. But, I mean, they have progressed. He's got the pipeline going there pretty good. And it does surprise me a little bit because I didn't think this would happen to this extent at Texas, but maybe I just have to accept, that they're Sark's. Now he's doing it right now. And
say it. Texas is back.
Well,
yeah, I mean it looks like the direction is going. However, we can better answer that probably later this season. We'll see how a full year in the SEC goes. Although they got a pretty good draw in the SEC this year. There's a lot of SEC teams with tougher schedules than Texas has, so that might help the Horns as the season progresses.
Yeah.
Well, they got the tough road trip to Nashville now. Were you surprised with Vanderbilt winning in overtime last week against the Hokies?
Yes, I was, and pleasantly so. Clarkley kind of stumbled upon Jerry Kill from New Mexico State. Now, Kill retired again after last season, and Clarkley wanted to get back the offensive coordinator because he had been impressed by what New Mexico State did at Auburn last year and won. So he needed a new coordinator, brought back in, and also he rated New Mexico State. Several transfers, including the quarterback, Diego Pavia, who's really a throwback. Joe Cap sort of quarterback with him. And it just so happened that Jerry Kill was interested in working as in an assistant role, and just happened to have a granddaughter living in Nashville. So he and his wife were glad to have a chance to move up to Music City. And all of a sudden he's on staff, and Kill is helping. Now, I think Clark Lee is too conservative for his own good, and they really sat on that lead last week, which that's sort of the Clark Lee thing. But they're a little more competitive here with Pavia at quarterback, as long as he can stay healthy. That's the thing with him. He's so much bravado. A full SEC season running the way he does, he may get hurt. But, I mean, he is giving them some leadership, and they did come back, and that was not fluky against Virginia Tech last week.
Yeah.
Over and under season total 2.5 tomorrow. We put all the Vandy over 2.5 bettors within one game. Then they get Georgia State, and then they go to Columbia, and then they get the real easy one. They get Bama and Nashville.
Yeah, they could already have it before we get to the end of the month. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the casino sits on your money till December.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Bruce, I'm curious, obviously here in Memphis, a lot of people follow the Memphis Tigers, and so because of that, they follow the other teams in the American, and tomorrow a big game for an American Conference team, Tulane.
Sneaky good
at
game.
home, really sneaky good game, hosting Kansas State. They'll travel down to Tulane as the 17th ranked team in the country tomorrow morning. Right now, Kansas State an 8.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 47.5. Do you like anything in this one tomorrow?
Yeah, I do like the Greenies here. I'm going to take a lead with John Summerall. I think this was an inspired hire by Tulane. I mean, you talk about riding to the rescue there after Willie Fritz had done so well, but he got paid more at Houston, so nobody blames him for leaving. But Summerall was a great hire. Now, I'm not going too far out on a limb saying that Summerall is going to eventually coach in the SEC. I mean, he's the even money favorite. Whenever Mark Stoops leaves Kentucky, they would bring Summerall in, barring something crazy happening, because he did play there and he coached there. And in fact, if Stoops, who was talking about Michigan State and Texas A&M after last year, there's talk they may have brought Summerall in if Stoops left. But he may get another job in the SEC before then, because look what Troy did last year. Look what he did the last 2 years with him. And by the way, Troy, as soon as he left, I mean, they lost a game to Nevada at home last week, first game without Summerall, so that says something. I think we'll want to watch the quarterback situation there. Mensah, the freshman, looked pretty dangerous last week. It was only Southeastern Louisiana, but it looks like he's taking snaps ahead of Ty Thompson, the Oregon transfer. But they got, speaking of transfers, Summerall brought a lot of them in, some guys from Troy. They're helping out that defense. Now, this is the game 2 years ago where Tulane really got on the map, that big season in 22. They won early in a big upset up at Manhattan 17-10 when Willie Fritz was still there and Pratt was the quarterback and all. So there's a little revenge 2 years removed here for K-State. Avery Johnson, their quarterback, real live wire, more of a runner than a passer. I'm not sure how comfy they are with the passing game with Johnson, although he did hit a couple of big ones last week. But he doesn't throw as well as Will Howard, the quarterback who preceded him, who's now at Ohio State. So I'm not sure about K-State covering a pretty healthy number on the road. I'm going to take the Greenies here, take a lead with Summerall. He had a great record at Troy, both straight up and against the spread. He's a winner, and we'll see him in the SEC at some point in the future.
Well, you're right. He is a winner, and he's a fantastic guy. In this spot, this is the exact spot Ole Miss was in going down there last year, and that heat and humidity was something else. I don't know if Kansas State's I know it's hot in Manhattan getting ready for football season in August, but at New Orleans, special kind of humidity bright and early tomorrow morning for the Green Wave. I love that pick. You mentioned Troy, where John Summerall was last year. They're in Memphis. They play the Tigers tomorrow morning. I don't think the Tigers are looking past Troy tomorrow to FSU next week. But it is FSU next week, but it's Troy tomorrow. The Tigers installed as an 18.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's looking. Florida State doesn't look all that scary right now. So that'll be a good test next week. Troy brought in. They went outside of the staff there because someone brought some guys with them to New Orleans, but G-Rad Parker came in from West Virginia as the new coach. But that was nonetheless a depressing game for them last week to lose against a really rebuilding situation at Nevada, who didn't play all that badly in the first game against SMU, but still, this is a bad team last year. Now, Crowder, the quarterback at Troy, had been up at West Virginia earlier in his career, and that was his first real start last week. But the offense just didn't really get going the way they wanted, and they fell behind in that game against Nevada. So Troy, looks like they've taken a step back. Here's a good spot for Memphis to get some momentum into Florida State next week, and I might give the Tigers a look at that price.
I like it. Talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Another team very close to us here in Memphis is Arkansas, and they a big first win for them against Pine Bluff last Thursday, but now a tough test for them as they go on the road to Stillwater to face Oklahoma State. Right now, Oklahoma State a 10-point favorite, that total sitting at 61.5. What do you like in this game tomorrow?
I think that's probably too much, and I'll give Arkansas a little slack here early. Petrino, running up 70 on Pine Bluff. They weren't the only one who ran up a score. No. A lot of SEC teams, Brett saw one in Ole Miss last week, running up scores against these FCS sides, so I'm not sure what that proves. But, we had heard that we were down in Dallas there were some Arkansas people saying, Pittman might have something going here, and Petrino and the offense should be better than it was last year. If Taylor Green can do something to transfer in from Boise at quarterback, they think he can be kind of a live wire there. So I think Arkansas is going to be up to it. what I'd be a little concerned here from the Arkansas perspective, maybe Oak State. Now, Oak State, I shouldn't downgrade. I mean, they did get in the Big 12 title game last year. Ollie Gordon could be an outside Heisman Trophy threat at running back. What impressed me last week, and that was a very impressive win over the FCS defending champion, South Dakota State, and they won pretty handily. You mentioned Alan Bowman at quarterback. Now, his numbers last year were not all that spectacular. He was about the same touchdowns, interceptions. I think he had 14 picks last year. But he looked much better last week. He is a veteran. He's been around several years. So that worries
7 years.
A bit. Yeah, I mean, he's as old as me almost, and he's he's still playing quarterback. But I think Arkansas would be worth a look. I might take a little lead with Arkansas here and give them a shot if they. And it's also an SEC dog. And Petrino, one thing about him, he's in coordinator right now. He often burns very brightly for a short while, in whatever role he's in, whether head coach or offensive coordinator. He sticks around the party too long, and that's when it starts to go sour. But in the first year of Petrino, he might be able to push some buttons there with that offense. So I'll give Arkansas the benefit of the doubt right now and recommend them plus the points.
And, Bruce, I'm seeing now 10 and a half, and we just didn't have it that big. And we won't have it that big when we pick our games at 5:30, but that's a lot of points. So you say Arkansas plus all those points. Only one league game tomorrow, South Carolina and Kentucky. You mentioned Mark Stoops, and if he ever left, I think they've got John Summerall circled, and I think that's probably his dream job. He's from Huntsville, Alabama, but he did play for Big Blue. It's in Lexington tomorrow. Shane Beamer against Mark Stoops. Who needs this game worse? I know. It's Shane Beamer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Beamer. And one thing about Kentucky, last week, that game was like a 35-minute game against Southern Miss. The Lightning and Thunder, they just thought they stopped. They didn't resume it. So 31-0 in only 35 minutes. By the way, what has happened to Southern Miss? My God. I mean, they have really fallen off the map here. But nonetheless, now that was Brock Vandegrift.
I can answer that. That's how good Jeff Bowers was.
Yeah, that's right. They missed that for sure. And for a long time, it's just been a long slide here. But in this one, we're wondering, right now, who are we talking about again here? I'm losing my train of thought.
South Carolina, Kentucky.
No, I talked about Kentucky. Of course. The game last week, Vandegrift came in, Georgia transfer, looked very good. We've seen Georgia transfer quarterbacks, guys leaving there. They thought he might be the guy a few years ago, and he couldn't end up beating out Carson Beck. But remember, Justin Fields had left Georgia before. Jacob Eason had left there. They had great college careers after they left Georgia. Maybe Vandegrift can do that as well. The question I have here is South Carolina for Shane Beamer. He is. It means more to him, and I think he's getting to a critical point in his tenure there, where 6-6 that may have been good, and 7-5 right off the bat, getting to the Duke's Mayo Bowl and things like that. But you got to at some point you got to bump that up a little more. And they missed a bowl last year. That was a Spencer Rattler quarterback, and we saw he looked pretty good with the Saints. He made the Saints this year. They don't have near that sort of production now. Lenore Sellers' first start last week, he carried the ball 22 times last week. A lot of those run direct runs. They just do not have a lot of confidence in their passing game right now. And one other thing about Beamer, they are living heavy in the portal right now. I know Sellers was there already, but he's living heavy in the portal, and I don't think that was the plan there. Now, he's not the only coach doing that. A lot of coaches are running players in and out now with the portal, but you want to establish a little continuity somewhere, and now Beamer is already at a point where he's just going to be, cycling guys in the portal. That does not portend well for him. So I'm going to lean to Kentucky a little bit, maybe an under two, though I know that Kentucky that's scoreline a little deceiving because it was only 35 minutes worth of a game. But if South Carolina cannot have a little bit more confidence in its passing game, and they barely got there against Old Dominion last week, I think Stoops' defense, which should be pretty decent this year, like it has been in recent years, can keep South Carolina in check and reverse some recent series trends. I mean, South Carolina's been having the edge on Kentucky in recent years because they have been playing each other for a while. But I think tomorrow Kentucky gets them and maybe an under as well.
Yeah. Last week, I was really impressed with Cam Rising and how he played in the first game. I know they were playing an FCS opponent, but after missing a whole year, I thought it looked really, really crisp. Now they're back at home tomorrow afternoon, a 2:30 game here locally in Memphis on Fox. Right now, Utah a 14.5-point favorite over Baylor. That total sitting at 55.5. Both teams 1-0. What do you like tomorrow afternoon in this one?
Well, you're right about Rising. I mean, he had been a revelation when he took over a few years ago, and then he got hurt in that Rose Bowl against Penn State, and they went with a couple backups, including the game last year at Waco. That was a very tough game with the backup quarterbacks kind of both ways going. But I'm kind of looking at Baylor, and I'll tell you why. Now, Dave Aranda, he's on a little bit of a hot seat. And if you look back, though, that big year he had in 2021, one thing Baylor was able to do that year was run the football pretty well, almost 5.5 yards per carry. Now, in the 2 years since then, they dropped a full yard less per carry in 2022. And in 2023, last year, another full yard less. They were barely 3 yards per carry last year. So they have not been able to run the ball the last couple of years, and that's one of the reasons why they struggled and they really faded down the stretch last year. They made a great move in the portal, picking up DeQuan Finn from Toledo. Quarterback, great dual threat, MAC MVP last year. He's a veteran quarterback. He's about fifth, sixth year for him, too. And, this guy's got almost 2,000 rushing yards in his career. He's passed for 65 touchdowns in his career, a true dual threat. Looked good last week against Tarleton in the opener. Had a couple of miscues on tipped passes that got picked off, but he looked pretty sharp. And Baylor looks like, they might be able, they've got a quarterback this year, and his ability to run is going to open up that offense. They will be much better with him than they were with Blake Shapen, who's now up at Mississippi State. But I think Finn makes the difference here. And this is one of these sides that's going to fly under the radar. And like we said last year, it was a very tough game in Waco. It was evenly matched. I know Rising didn't play, but Finn didn't play either last year. And Baylor thought they were going to win that game, and right at the end lost, and then they thought a bad referee's call cost them a chance to force overtime. So I'm going to take Baylor plus the points. I'm taking the lead with them, and we'll see what happens.
Baylor at Utah plus the points, and Dave Aranda needs that one. Bruce, we're short on time, so quickly give us Tennessee and NC State thoughts, a best college game we haven't gotten to, and your favorite NFL game.
Yeah, Tennessee tomorrow, that number's going up a little bit too much. But they like Nico. There's another team that ran up a big score last week on the FCF side. Now, NC State did not, and they had trouble with Western Carolina, and I think that's impacted the number here a little bit. They're playing this game in Charlotte, so it's like a bowl game. It's not in Raleigh. And McCall, the transfer from Coastal Carolina, is there at quarterback. I thought that's a pretty good ad for NC State, but they certainly had more trouble last week than Tennessee did. I like Tennessee earlier in the week a lot more, but as this number gets close to 10 now, it's taken some of the value out of it. There will be a lot of Tennessee fans there. It will be like a bowl game in Charlotte. So a little bit to Tennessee in that one. So I like the way that one. And what's the other one you want to talk about?
Favorite college game maybe that we haven't touched on.
Oh, okay, here's one. Northern Illinois, and I'll give you NFL in a second. Northern Illinois, this is sort of off the beaten track, up at Notre Dame tomorrow. How about this number for Northern Illinois? The last 2 years, the underdog in Northern Illinois games, 20-4 against the spread. They've had a very good spread, Mark. Now, I know Notre Dame's been covering some numbers lately, and last year they did, and they ran out some scores last year, but they hit teams at the right spot in the schedule. Northern Illinois is not that bad, and Ontario Brown, best running back maybe in the MAC. The quarterback Hampton played a lot 2 years ago when Rocky Lombardi was hurt. He threw 5 TD passes in the opener last week just against Western Illinois. But Thomas Hammock's team seemed to be able to run the football pretty well, and I think they can slow this game down enough. Plus 28 at Notre Dame. I'll give them a shot to hang within that. Sunday NFL, I'm going to give you a totals play under Pittsburgh, Atlanta. I think Pittsburgh is going to be a dead under team. They're going to go with Russell Wilson at the start. Good luck. I could see Justin Fields in there before too long. I think Russ has passed his sell-by date. He's not making plays on the move anymore, but that defense is good enough for Pittsburgh to keep them in, and Mike Tomlin can win games 16-13, so I'm not anti-Pittsburgh here. I just think it's going to be low-scoring unders. And Atlanta, Raheem Morris, a lot to prove to me. And how Cousins works with this new offense, I'm not sure. That looks like an under. It's in the low 40s. I don't think this is like a 16-13 sort of game on Sunday.
Bruce, before we let you go, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks. Check me out online, VegasInsider.com. All my picks there. NFL, college football, Major League Baseball. How about this? Basketball is coming in less than 2 months. Can you believe that? So all my picks are at VegasInsider.com. You can read my stuff too, and picks, CBSSportsline.com, and one other site, actually a couple of ones, winnersandwhiners.com, WHINERS.com, and picksandparlays.com. I got my picks up all over the place for you to check out online.
Bruce, thanks again for joining us. Good luck this weekend, and we'll do it again on Friday.
Okay, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you very much. Bruce Marshall with us every single Friday, and we love visiting him. We're talking about Jeff Bauer at Southern Miss. Here are the coaches since Jeff Bauer: Larry Fedora, Ellis Johnson, Todd Monken, Jay Hobson, Will Hall. Whew, that's how it happens.
Oh, yeah. No, it absolutely. And, that game last week, they just did not show much life. And, it's just it can come very fast, the success, and it can go away just as fast, I guess. But,
And Southern Miss got in that run similar to kind of Murray State in basketball, that it felt like, everybody kind of won at Southern.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right.
I'm looking Bobby Collins, Jim Carmody, Curly Hallman, then Jeff Bauer's sustained success. But all those guys, even before Jeff Bauer, won. And then you start wanting to change. You get disgruntled with a guy. A little patience.
Sure. No, it goes a long way, Brett. Patience certainly does. But you're right. It can come very fast. It can leave just as fast. But we need to get to another break. When we come back, a busy weekend in the SEC Week 2. We'll talk about a lot of these matchups. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Traffic brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Whitten Road in Bartlett. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced 867-0303 or visit us online at BrianEllerRoofing.com.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Upper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today at 901-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. An accident. A car is on its top out here on 240 eastbound at Getwell. It's a nasty-looking crash. Again, this one's got traffic really slow now between Mill Branch and Getwell on 240 going eastbound. Again, one car is on its top, and it is just a circus now over here on this side of town because of this serious accident. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry at 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. Go by and see them this weekend. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We've talked a lot of college football today, as a big Saturday tomorrow with a lot of good college football action. But let's take a look at the SEC and what's on tap for the conference as a whole tomorrow. We've talked a lot about this Texas and Michigan game. We'll pick it here in about an hour during Friday Football Forecast, but it should be a big one. Texas, a 7-point favorite, I think a game that I feel like Texas should win, will win against Michigan, but should really start the day nicely. And then we've got Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Brett, I know we're also going to pick this game in Friday Football Forecast, so I don't want to give too much away about what either of us think of this one with picks, but what do you see for Arkansas in this one after a 70-0 win over Pine Bluff in their first game?
Everybody knows the stakes. I think everybody around the Razorback program know that it's a big one. It's a tough one to have to go on the road against that kind of opponent. And Bruce mentioned they did win the Big 12 last year, and what Mike Gundy has accomplished. But Sam Pittman needs that one. It would really provide a lot of accelerant for Razorback fans for the rest of the year, because you lose that one in any fashion, close, narrow, blowout, whatever it is. Next week against UAB, they should take care of UAB, but getting ready for Trent Dilfer in that kind of game, it could be rather sleepy at 3:15, win or lose, next week for UAB. And then for the Razorbacks on the road at Auburn, the neutral that doesn't feel so neutral at Jerry's World against A&M. Thank goodness that's ending. And then home in Fayetteville. It is really a tough schedule for the Razorbacks and a big one for Sam Pittman tomorrow. That game on ABC, Dave Pash, Dusty Dvorak, the announced team. I love Dave Pash, and his comments about Bill Walton after his death were really touching. I thought their energy was just magical.
Sure.
I mean, he got him. He let him drift way off.
Yeah,
I mean, way off. And he's doing that game, of course, on Fox tomorrow. The big one, Texas and Michigan. Gus Johnson.
Oh yeah, and it's always fun to hear him on the call, and that should be a good one for him. He certainly knows how to bring the energy and make his emphases known whenever
Yes,
he needs
does.
to use them. But no, he'll be good on that game as well.
Sleepy atmospheres, and it kind of goes contrary to what most were saying last week about College Station and Kyle Field, and I wasn't doing it to be mean. I just said, no, it's big and it's nice and it's all that, and it's the best stadium in SEC. It's really not even close, but it's no intimidating place. Notre Dame wasn't. Tomorrow against McNeese.
Yeah. It's a snoozer there. Kind of same thing. A little bit later, Georgia and Tennessee Tech. That one
very same
is going to be an easy one for Georgia and another very sleepy environment.
Our friend Richard Cross got a good assignment tomorrow. And he's getting a lot more games this year. And he's in Morgantown for West Virginia playing Albany. It's not a great matchup, but he was really looking forward to going to Morgantown. Wake-up call this morning, or set his alarm in Oxford for 3. Woo. To the Memphis airport, to Philly, change planes to Morgantown.
Wow.
But looking forward to seeing that. I've never been there.
Yeah, no, that'll be
that's always fun. Cal, the Golden Bears of Cal with the cross-country trip, they did it and won in Oxford, won back-to-back, won both those games. It wasn't back-to-back years. I think we had maybe 2 years in between playing, but back-to-back this year against Auburn. They're on the plains tomorrow, and that will be hotter than the California heat that they're used to.
Oh, yeah. No, it definitely will be, and, should be an interesting game. I thought Auburn looked good in their first game. But, let's see what they look like against California. California, this will be a good opportunity for them to start learning what a lot of travel will be like this year and in years forward with them playing in the ACC. Obviously, Auburn won't be as far as some of the trips they'll take later in the season.
That's going to be a fourth-quarter game.
Oh, I think so. And right now, Auburn about an 11.5, 12-point favorite in that one. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what some people are saying.
I think it will be really close. Bruce talked about South Carolina and Kentucky. We've talked a lot this week about Ole Miss and Middle. Derek Mason, who was at Vanderbilt, now coming to Oxford, head coach of Middle Tennessee. Samford and Florida. We know the Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs are big rivals, but boy, tomorrow against Samford, talking about sleepy.
Oh, yeah. No, it absolutely
Sections
will be.
Available at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
Yes, and a lot of fans not happy about how last week went against Miami, and so I don't think there's a lot of times when you have games like this where it's week 2 against an FCS opponent, you have intrigue if you played well that first game. There will be an energy there just after what happened. And Florida had that great opportunity last week against Miami to really showcase themselves and get a marquee win. They failed to do so. They really didn't show up.
They didn't even fight.
No, not at all. And so I think you're going to see a response to that with tomorrow's atmosphere against Samford. I just think a lot of fans are going to be checking out kind of early because last week's game was really a what could this team be? Does this team have that fight in it to go up against how tough this schedule is? And at least in first game, they didn't show that they had any fight to them.
I don't blame these coaches at all, like the success that Lane Kiffin's had and the success Eli Drinkwitz had at Mizzou. Eli Drinkwitz had to go to the whip a little bit this summer on attendance. They are sold out, officially sold out. Might be a little fudge factor there for tomorrow for Mizzou against Buffalo. But I'll say this about the crowd last week for Ole Miss and Furman. At kickoff, is every bit of 58,000 in there. Maybe even a little more now because of the weather and the deluge that hit pregame and then the score. There are people left early, but Eli Drinkwitz and Lane Kiffin, they want the crowds to respond to the hard work that they've put in, and I don't blame them. No. Now, I don't blame the crowd at all for the checkout factor down in the Swamp. Tomorrow night in Tuscaloosa, it will be the dedication for Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we're really getting to see him enjoy retirement. Last week he did game day, and I saw on Twitter where he said he was back in Tuscaloosa at 1:30, went to the game last Saturday night in his luxury box suite. Boy, that's about the least they could do for him.
Oh, man.
Maybe bring him in on a Roman chariot if he asks. And tomorrow they're going to dedicate the field. A friend of mine in Tuscaloosa said there's more sideline passes for former players and friends than they probably have ever issued.
That's awesome.
Because everybody wants to be there for his big moment with that. That's against South Florida. Narrow escape last year. I think it'd be a blowout this year. Tennessee and NC State we've touched on, and we'll make our picks. I think Tennessee will cruise. Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, and from the sidelines, Holly Rowe on that game. So Reese and Kirk will be getting out of Ann Arbor fast tomorrow on one of the fleet of Disney planes.
Right. Yes, no, a tradition they know very well, getting out fast after game day and trying to book it somewhere else for a game. But no, that should be a good one. I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit, but Tennessee looked really good last week in their game against Chattanooga. NC State against another FCS foe did not. They kind of struggled. So, this one's going to be interesting. We talked to both Alan and Bruce, and both of them commented on the fact that this number is moving into Tennessee's favor. I'll be interested to see where it closes, but that should be a good one tomorrow night.
Poor Nichols, the Nichols Colonels tomorrow night at Tiger Stadium with LSU reeling after that loss to Alcorn State at Vandy. Houston at Oklahoma, that's on the SEC network. That's Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelik on the sideline. Houston not very impressive last week, and Willie Fritz. He's the new coach there for a reason.
Sure, yeah, and it's going to take some time to get that program right, and you mentioned it, a very disappointing showing for them last week against UNLV, and now they have to go and face Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that I thought looked really good and still made some mistakes in their game against Temple, which was last Friday night. They had the Friday night game. So, a big number there for Oklahoma, and that could be another one that's over really early in Norman.
Tomorrow night, late in Tempe,
Real late.
Mark Jones, Roddy Jones, and Quint Kesnick, the announce crew for ESPN, Mississippi State, and Arizona State. And I'm looking forward to watching a lot of that. Yeah. I think if I can make it, I'm going to try to watch Kenny Dillingham against Jeff Lebby. State beat Arizona last year. I want to say State beat Arizona 2 years in a row, didn't they? Did they beat them out at Tucson when they played 9? I know they beat them last year in Starkville.
They beat them last year.
I
don't remember.
That was a really good win for the league, as it turned out.
It absolutely was. Yeah, with what Arizona ended up doing, it was a great win. I don't remember the year before. My memory doesn't go that far back, I guess.
A little foggy for me, too. Sorry, State fans. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No,
it's just late on a Friday afternoon.
It absolutely is. But no, it's going to be a late one for Mississippi State. And, I think a game that will feature a lot of offense and should be fun to watch. Two young coaches that I'm really excited to see what they can do for their career. But it could be, even though it's a late game, and obviously it'll be earlier out there, that's why it's so late our time, but it could be a pretty hot game. I mean, out there in Tempe in the desert, it could be warm out there, and so you could see some cramping with this Mississippi State team. Keep an eye on that tomorrow night in Tempe, where I'm trying to look
State
right now.
Did
win. Good. Okay,
State did
good.
win 2 years ago at Tucson. I didn't want to do State fans like that. I'm sorry.
No.
It just froze up. They won 39-17 in Tucson and won last year 31-24 in Starkville.
I would have looked it up, but I was looking this up because I wanted to see what the temperature will be like around kickoff. It's going to be
that's more germane.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to be about 100 degrees at kickoff tomorrow night. Tonight, 103 at 7 p.m. Tempe time. It's going to be a little cooler than that tomorrow night around that time, but still, it's going to be hot.
I don't think that will bother. I don't think bother State. And it's not the juicy heat.
Exactly, but
State practice all August.
I don't,
but it's still hot.
I know what they say about it's the humidity that gets you and all that stuff, but I don't care, humidity or not. If we're talking triple digits, that's hot. That's real hot.
Exactly, it is. Turn your oven on.
That's right.
That's hot.
Exactly, but no,
doesn't have any humidity in it.
No, but it should be a good game. I'm interested because I was really impressed with how Arizona State played last week against Wyoming. I think I didn't end up picking that as my shock last week. I thought about Wyoming. I think it was like +7 against Arizona State, but Arizona State came out and just completely ran away with that game. And so interested to see what happens tomorrow night for them against this Mississippi State team that had a nice first win.
I just made a mistake not putting that on our picks. We're not picking that game. It won't count against us. I like State to pull the upset.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well. I think this Mississippi State team
They're getting 5.5.
Yeah, I was impressed with what they did in that first game last week, and so I think on the road definitely makes it a little bit tougher. But yeah, I really like Mississippi State. You give it 5.5. I'm curious to see by tomorrow night at 9:30 what that line will be. I mean, if that gets up to 7, maybe, I will definitely put some money on that because I think this is going to be a really close game.
And if they pull the upset next week at home against Toledo, a real chance to start 3-0.
That'd be great.
And then the Gators in Starkville, and what kind of shape will they be in?
Yeah, no, I mean, it could set up for some really good things from Mississippi State when, I think a lot of people after last year and, new coach and all the circumstances that they're still trying to kind of work through that, it could be a tough season. Sure. But definitely if they can pull off the upset tomorrow night, it could definitely mean really positive things from Mississippi State. Well, that's a little quick look at what the weekend looks like in the SEC. We need to get to another break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams September holiday sale and get 30% off paints and stains from August 30th through September 9th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collier's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving Lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion ring. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collier's historic town square.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I think we should switch it up today with it being a Friday and let you go first with your big number today.
I'm ready. It's 1954, and no, that's not a year. It's really 1,954. That's the total number of wins for Michigan and Texas playing tomorrow.
Wow.
That's 1,005 for Michigan, and it's 949 for the Texas Longhorns. At the Big House with Big Noon, College Game Day, they're all there. Fox has the broadcast. We mentioned Gus Johnson on the call for that one. But that's a lot of winning. That's a lot of tradition. It's a lot of history, and it's great programs. And it's not just, hearkening back to yesteryear. Michigan's reigning national champs.
Yeah.
That's why we started with Hail to the Victors today. And Texas could win it all this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
No, not at all. And I'm really excited for that game tomorrow morning. My big number comes from the NFL, and I really don't know what to make of this big number. I think it's interesting. I don't really know why this big number is what it is, but my big number is 7. Since December 2021, there have been 7 instances of an NFL quarterback passing for 250 or more yards and rushing for 80 or more yards in a game. Lamar Jackson did it last night for the Ravens. In those 7 games, when that has happened, the QBs are 0-7. Their teams are 0-7 in those games, which is really surprising. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
I don't see the linkage. Do you? I don't know why that's the case.
And that's why I brought it up, because I have no idea how that is even possible, but I guess it is just one of those chance things. But I find it very interesting. Now, obviously, not a long sample size. I mean, December 2021 in NFL years is yesterday. But Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are both 0-3 in such games. So, that's 6 games right there just between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And then Taysom Hill is 0-1. A little Taysom Hill reference on a Friday afternoon.
What is he? Fullback, tailback, tight end, X-back?
I don't know what he is.
RPO
now.
guy? What exactly is it? We know what Lamar Jackson is, and he's unfortunately, he's going to be judged by postseason success or lack thereof.
Yep.
And especially when he's held up to, and I talked about it yesterday, to Patrick Mahomes, 15 playoff wins to 2 for Lamar Jackson. But he doesn't play defense. Nobody's a one-man team. And last night we had the unthinkable for the Baltimore Ravens. He missed a field goal. Tucker missed a field goal.
I mean, that was crazy, and that's a good point by you, because I was listening to the radio broadcast when that happened. I was driving somewhere, and they were talking about, all right, here we go, and then he misses the field goal.
As automatic as anybody ever.
And that's what they were kind of saying of, wow, I mean, you bring up all these numbers, and it's almost like you don't want to talk about it before, because in case you jinx them or whatever. But when you have a guy like that is just so automatic, it's hard to believe when they miss a field goal like that. And so that was definitely a difference maker of that game. And, he makes that field goal, and, we could definitely be talking about a different outcome for last night's game.
I came out of last night maybe I felt pretty good about Baltimore anyway.
Sure.
But the combination of Derrick Henry, of whether you're going to leave it with him for the dive play or you're going to keep, and Lamar Jackson's going to run around the end or pull up and hit Mark Andrews in a slot with a slant or something, and even to his other like to Likely or to his other players. I think Baltimore's going to have a big year. I don't think they should be too depressed over last night. It was the reigning champs on banner and ring night.
No, it absolutely was, and I'm interested to see that Baltimore offense, especially with the run game, because I thought Kansas City's defensive line was really good, especially early in that game. Chris Jones, anytime he's on the field, it's going to be hard to run against him, and he looked good last night, and so you saw maybe Derrick Henry not being as effective as maybe you want him to be with this Ravens team. But the Ravens feel like obviously you have a quarterback that can run it and throw it, but you've got Derrick Henry, who's more of a power back. You have other backs that they used last night that can more of a change of pace for them. So I'm going to be interested to see what that run game looks like throughout the season.
Brian, we collectively, sports fans, we love a winner
sure.
until you win too much. Kansas City getting close to that now? Are they starting to kind of become the evil empire? Because remember how warm and cuddly Golden State was on the way up, and now it's like waving red cape in front of Toro for me.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt that yet for Kansas City, but I could see it very easily being that way for a lot of people. I mean, not only do you have all of the winning,
I like Andy Reid.
Yeah, I mean, I like Patrick Mahomes and a lot of the guys on that team are likable guys.
And fans that sacrifice toes sitting out in the cold at a playoff game.
But I could very easily see people not liking the Chiefs team. I mean, you've got all of the winning. You've got they're not afraid to talk the talk either. And then you've got Taylor Swift at every game, and the attention that brings. So I could definitely see.
I like her.
Yeah, I'm fine with Taylor Swift. But I could see some people. You definitely do. You have Taylor Swift featuring John Mayer, or vice versa, whatever way it is.
She has about 2 lines in that song.
There we go. How about that? So, but no, I don't feel that yet. And I thought they played great. We haven't even mentioned it yet, but what Worthy did last night in his first game as a Kansas City Chief. I mean,
it looked like Olympic speed.
Oh, it's just crazy. I mean, they speed, and they lose, Tyreek Hill a couple years ago. And what do? They bring in Xavier Worthy, who, was just unbelievable last night in that game. But we need to get to another break, wrap up another hour, and when we come back, we're talking the Hogs. We're talking with Ty Richardson from ESPN Radio. We'll talk the Razorbacks in their big game tomorrow against Oklahoma State. Also, what he thought of the SEC in Week 1 and some of these matchups in Week 2. We'll do all that next on Sports Time.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. The commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue 6-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. It's Eric Hasseltine and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Carraggio, and dozens more. Not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the cutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. They'll show you the inside secrets of the diamond business and teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They can also explain the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds, so you can buy with total confidence. We're lucky to have Genesis here, so check them out. They'll be on the show
of the essence with COVID-19. Prescription oral treatment must be taken within the first 5 days of symptoms. If you have a high risk factor, ask your doctor if treatment is right for you. Learn more at treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special guides, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Upper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises. Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports. Former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons. Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call. And former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. T-Dot and the fire department still over here on the scene of this earlier wreck where this car flipped on its top, trying to get it back on its wheels on 240 eastbound at Getwell. That's why it's been limping along pretty good over here now on 240 east from Mill Branch up to Getwell. Once you get past Getwell, it does pick back up to a decent interstate speed as you continue towards Bill Morris Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis specializes in bridal ring purchases. Go by and see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis. Time to talk Razorbacks on Sportstime. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk the Razorbacks, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas joins us now. Ty, thanks so much for joining us. We talked to you last Friday following Arkansas's 70-0 win over Pine Bluff. Then the next day we saw Oklahoma State in their first matchup, a 44-20 win over South Dakota State. Now these two teams will meet tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. What do you expect to see in this one, Ty?
Hopefully a lot of points. Guys, good to be with you as always here on a fabulous Football Friday. That's the hope. I'm in Tulsa right now, guys. Going to make my way to Stillwater at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I just want to see some action. Taylor Green, again, a guy that's in year 18 of school and now in Bowman and one of the best players in college football. Maybe that's the only running back that really has a say that can compare to him is a guy that used to play at Ole Miss that's now up in Columbus and Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. What time do you come on the air in the morning for pregame?
6 a.m.
Oh,
Jack.
man.
It's going to be bright and early. I know Middle Tennessee State's in town in Oxford. I've got, Brett, you'll love this. I've got a friend. He's an LSU boy. He's a Cajun boy. Went to Louisiana Tech. He is experiencing the Grove for the first time this weekend with my friend Ole Miss Chris. He's 31 years old, never been to the Grove. First time taking it all in tomorrow, the entire day in Oxford, Mississippi.
Tell him come by and see me because you know there's no time like your first time, Ty.
Oh, man. It's a good day of college football, guys. We got Texas and Michigan.
It really is.
They got NC State, Tennessee. You've got a few other games. Maybe some surprises here and there. I'm excited for week 2.
Yeah, no, it should be a really, really good one. You mentioned Ollie Gordon, the running back for Oklahoma State. How does Arkansas slow him down?
It's got to be game tackling, and if you got to stack the box, your corners can't get beat in one-on-one situations, because what's going to happen is if you can't leave your guys out on the island, then always going to have less guys in the box to worry about. Guys, he only had like a long run of 12 yards last week. He's not like he's the Doak Walker Award. I need to be careful in how respectful wise. Like, he's a really good running back, but if I remember correctly, Oklahoma State was only like 68th in rushing last year, so they lost former Arkansas running back A.J. Green the offseason, who was going to be his backup. So it's not like they're 3 or 4 deep at running back. It's him. Bowman's not Taylor Green running the football, so they just it's fundamental. This is every coach listening across Memphis right now. It's just like tackling. I mean, if you miss tackles, Oklahoma State's going to win this football game. If you don't, you got a chance to compete with these guys.
Which that's a real challenge, because we know across college football, it's not just the Razorbacks, it's everywhere. There's not those really physical August camp practices anymore. The only time you really start tackling is after opening night. I don't know that I noticed it that closely. How do you think the Razorbacks tackled against UAPB?
Not great, and that was a point of emphasis that was covered up a little bit by the fact it was just a very much inferior opponent stats. And I think in this game, like, they're going to get showed up a little bit. Like, there's going to be some weaknesses that are exposed. And I mean, I'm not asking Arkansas to hold Oklahoma State to 20 points, but don't give up 48. And I mean, they have the ability to do that. Now, I'll give them credit. Last year under Travis Williams, for the most part, looked good in Oxford defensively, looked good for a half defensively in Baton Rouge, looked good for a game in Tuscaloosa defensively, but you got to do it for a full 60 minutes tomorrow. That's asking a lot against the best running back potentially in college football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what do you think? I mean, do we have a prediction, final score? What do you think happens tomorrow?
Guys, I'm the Debbie Downer. I know me and Stats have been texting about it. I'm going to go opposite of him. I've got Oklahoma State winning 38-28. I'd much rather be this game aligned with what Brett has said, not just this week, but leading up to this game. But I just, when you look at the depth chart in the rosters in each position group, Arkansas to me only has like 2 advantages, and that's the defensive line and the tight ends. And outside of that, Oklahoma State wins every battle. So it's just really hard to tell me that a unranked opponent is going into one of the more underrated venues in college football and going to win a game against a ranked Oklahoma State team when they don't have as much talent, at least from a position group standpoint. I've been wrong before, and that's why it's college football, boys. We play the game.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We sure do, and we're not always right, and we pick them on Friday, and we see how they turn out on Saturday. If it turns out the way you think it will turn out, how will that go over with the Razorback fan base that's just so hungry for something successful in football?
You've got Razorback friends. I don't get a sense that they expect to win. I think they want to win. There's a difference between expecting something and wanting something. I mean, I think that's pretty consensus. Arkansas, of course, wants to win every game. But it's just asking a lot to beat a team that's probably going to be in Jerry World at the Big 12 championship game. I mean, unless their season goes awry, I expect them to be playing Utah potentially in a rematch, because they play, I think, in September, if I remember, 2 weeks after they play Arkansas. So I don't think it's fair to say, Sam Pittman, you got to go win this game week 2, or your hot seat's even hotter. But I mean, you can't get blown out. If they get blown out, we're having a different story next Friday. But I expect Arkansas to compete, guys. I just don't expect them to win.
I think any kind of loss, then it makes the crowd very uneasy to start the game against UAB, and it could be a sleepier type crowd, but it would be the home opener at Razorback Stadium, continuing the first 5 games for the Razorbacks. 5 games, 5 different venues.
I mean, imagine telling a Memphis Tiger fan, like, hey, by the way, you don't play in the Liberty Bowl till week 3. You're playing in 5 different venues before. We're going to play this first game in Jackson. It's just, it doesn't make any sense the way Arkansas has its schedule. It's going to cycle out after next year.
Thank goodness.
Jerry World's going to cycle out of this next season. So it's just been very frustrating. And you mentioned the UAB game, a couple connections. You've got Frank Dilfer, former Super Bowl winning quarterback, coaching the Blazers. And then Alex Mortensen, the late Chris Mortensen's son, is the offensive coordinator who used to play quarterback at Arkansas. So that's not going to be a walk. The UAB is not great by any stretch, but it's not going to be a walk in the park next week.
Didn't Chris Mortensen make his home in Bella Vista at his death?
He did. He was very much part of the Northwest Arkansas community, a big fan of the Arkansas Razorback baseball team, and so that was he was there at Bob Walker several times during the course of the baseball season.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas. He joins us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC. We talked with you last week about that performance against Pine Bluff, and it was the offense looked really, really good against that Pine Bluff defense. Now against a team like Oklahoma State, with Bobby Petrino now really his first real test as offensive coordinator, what do you expect to see from this offense? What kind of points do you think this Arkansas offense can put up tomorrow?
Well, I think even though they scored 10 straight possessions, touchdown each possession, I think both of y'all would agree they were still holding stuff back. Mm-hmm. I mean, Isaiah Satania only got one touch, I think for maybe 2 targets, only caught the ball once. I think the expectation is he's going to pull out all stops tomorrow at Boone Pickens Stadium. And this is a guy that has had a wide array of different plays that he's picked up over the course of his coaching career. And, I mean, he's had a talent difference, maybe where he's been in years past. Like, go look at what they had in College Station last year compared to what they have now. It's night and day, but he's still a good offensive mind. And so, Brian, I expect at least him to put Arkansas in position to score points. It's just going to be a matter if the offensive line and the rest of the team can execute starting tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Yeah, we talked about it last Friday when you joined us, and I don't want to crush Little Rock. Some of the times in my life have been at War Memorial Stadium, but next year after they play Arkansas State, it's over and it's time. And we mentioned the merry-go-round of stadiums to be on. Get out of that, get done with that at Jerry's World, and start playing all your games right there on campus at Fayetteville.
And Stats, we were texting several times into the night last week because just as donations and everything continue to grow, when you ask, and it's a little different because Arkansas is one of the few high major programs still playing that neutral site game at Little Rock, but asking your fans in even marquee non-conference games to have them neutral sites is tough. Like, I get there's money and it's big TV with the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Atlanta or the one in Vegas between USC and LSU, but there's just something to college football being in. It's something we talked about Media Day Stats, like the fact that like Oxford, Mississippi is one of the meccas of college football, just a little town in Mississippi. It's so cool. Fayetteville, Arkansas, like play these. I know bigger markets are bigger draw, but play these in where college football games are meant to be played, home stadiums, do them one there, one here. That's just how college football needs to be played, and I hope we steer away from the neutral sites like we spoke about last week.
And it was glorious at one time in college football history with Bama playing mostly at Legion Field and Auburn playing a lot of times, often at Legion Field. Tennessee would play annually a home game in Memphis. I mean, it was Johnny Majors that really put the end to that. He goes, let me get this straight. We're driving we're changing time zones. We're driving all the way from our campus to play in Memphis and to play our home game against Ole Miss in Memphis that accommodates their fans. And Ole Miss in Jackson, Mississippi State in Jackson. The Razorbacks did it, and it was a great idea by Coach Broyles once upon a time to brand it as a state team. But things have changed. When Coach Broyles got to Fayetteville, the student enrollment was 2,500, 3,000. When I was there, it's 8,000. I think this week it was announced that in Fayetteville at the flagship, it's over 30,000 enrollment. Is that correct, Ty?
Yeah, that's the biggest it's ever been. And
incredible.
To your point,
where do they park?
It's crazy. I can't speak to the facility outlook at Legion Field or Jackson or Memphis, but being a Forest City guy, that the Little Rock Stadium used to be better than Razorback Stadium, and War Memorial it had lights and everything. And then obviously through money raised and donations, we know what Donald W. Reynolds, I guess it's no longer that, Razorback Stadium has become. and Little Rock just hasn't kept to par. And so these other venues, I would guess, are kind of in similar circumstances, and the home venues on the campus have passed them by. And that's why it's so frustrating for Arkansas fans, because you're not getting along with the times. One of the reasons Nick Saban was the coach he was is because he adapted, unlike his competitor in Clemson, South Carolina, Dabo Swinney, who was yet to adapt to the transfer portal and NIL and stuff like that. So if you don't adapt, you're going to die. Not literally, but theoretically, proverbially. And so
it's going to change.
You've got to change. And I think Arkansas, there's so many different barriers that you have to get through as an Arkansas football coach and athletics director and everything else. Don't let Little Rock continue on. And it goes all the way up to the governor's office. So
it does.
Governor Sanders is going to have the final say if this thing continues or not. Stats and Brian.
Yeah. Ty,
and she's going to want to make that decision after she's up for re-election in 2026.
Yeah.
For sure. Ty, when you look at the SEC as a whole in week 1, what kind of grade would you give the conference?
Great question.
That's great question. Like a D+, C-. Wow. Florida got creamed. Texas A&M lost at home.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it was disappointing.
Yeah, and think about, so like before the season, I know we talked about like how many SEC teams could get in the college football playoff, and thinking 3, 4, maybe 5. But let's say Texas loses to Michigan and Bama somehow loses to Wisconsin next week. Guys, that's like the whole idea is that the SEC is better than the other conferences. You can't stand on that if it goes that way. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the Big House tomorrow. I don't know what is going to happen in Camp Randall next week. But what I do know is the SEC struggled in week 1 and did not help its brand for the most part. You still got non-conference games later on between Georgia and Georgia Tech, which might be a better game than we initially thought based on the Yellow Jackets. Georgia still wins, but Florida's going to get as bad as Florida State's looked at those first 2 games. I can't see them beating the Seminoles. So the SEC did not do itself any favors in week number 1. So, yeah, I'd say a C- or a D+.
It just plain and simply did not, and we were critical, trying to call it like we see it. When you have to fly the flag of "Way to go, Vandy," you know you didn't have a very good weekend.
Yeah, that is when Vanderbilt is the banner win of your conference. Which y'all help me if that. Which one am I missing? There's one marquee game. I guess Georgia stopped Clemson. So that was the big win.
And everybody expected it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, even Clemson fans were like, "Yeah, we're not going to win this game." But yeah, congrats to Clark Lee. Listen, Vanderbilt has been the redheaded stepchild of SEC football for years upon years.
100 years.
Yeah, I mean that was a big win for their program. So I was happy. That was. We did our power rankings, and we threw Vanderbilt in our top 6 just because of the win. Now, they're 16. Like, they're the worst team in the league. But, I mean, they got arguably the biggest win the conference had last week. I'd take their win over what Georgia did to Clemson in Atlanta, boys.
How about that?
All right, you're worried about the Razorback game. You think they lose that game. You got Cal on the Plains at Auburn. You have Mississippi State late night in Tempe against Arizona State. And you've got Tennessee and NC State at night in Charlotte on a very neutral in Texas and Michigan. It could be another weekend of some real hand-wringing in the SEC. And that 5 teams into the playoffs, I think that's already out after 1 week. What if week 2 whacked out, down to 3 teams?
Yeah, no, you could be right. I mean, again, there's not that many non-conference games post this week outside of the Alabama and Wisconsin, the 2 non-conference games at the tail end of the season. Kentucky's got Louisville. I don't think Kentucky's going to be a playoff contender down the road. But, yeah, Stats, I agree with you. I mean, this is a big week for the Southeastern Conference. Most of those SEC teams should win. I know Texas is favored, I think, by 7.5 heading into tomorrow's game against Michigan. I think they'll win. I don't think they'll cover. But, yeah, this is a huge week for the conference, and I'm still going to root for the Wolverines. I mean, there is not a team, I think, on the planet that could get me to root for Texas. Outside of A&M. A&M might be the only team that would allow me to root for Texas just because I hate the Aggies more than I hate the Longhorns, which not many Arkansas fans would say that.
Well, Ty, that's really interesting you bring that up because I felt the same sentiment from Brett in the offseason before Texas joined the conference. But now that they're an SEC brother, it just means more. Brett's really softened up on the Longhorns.
Have you? Okay. Well, Stats, we gotta revigorate some of that anger that I know you used to have back when we were in school. I think so. Like the great thing about Memphis, it's an SEC melting pot. You got Ole Miss alums, Bama alums. Of course, we got a ton of Memphis Tiger fans listening right now, and not everyone's used to competing against Texas. Stats, you have a unique situation where you obviously went to a school where it was an every year thing: football, basketball, baseball, Southwest Conference days. Strap it up, let's go. And now these schools get to experience the arrogance that accompanies that program. Now, it's one thing to be an Alabama football fan and have arrogance because you have the two greatest coaches of all time.
You got the trophy case to accompany.
Yeah, you've got the trophy case to back it up. Texas hasn't been to a national championship in 20 years. Yes, I know they made the college football playoff last season, but the last time they won one was in 2005. Oklahoma has been the dominant team in the Big 12 and the bigger brother of that rivalry lately. So Texas fans still, again, are brash and egotistical and braggadocious and all over the place, but they don't have anything to back it up in football, basketball, or baseball. So why are you talking about all this smack when most of the stuff in their heyday Stats was pre-2000? Honestly, before that.
And a lot of their heyday was crew cuts in black and white TV.
Yeah, way back when, baby.
See what you did, Brian? You made me go to my old go-to car.
We got him riled up, Brian. You wanted him riled up again. We got him riled up. We got to get him going.
That's right. Yes. No. Absolutely.
You know, Ty, I've got a friend of mine. His first 2 years at Fayetteville were the last 2 years for the Razorbacks in the Southwest Conference, and his last 2 years at Fayetteville were their first 2 years in the SEC. That's a very unique perspective to have had that overlap because, for me, it was all Southwest Conference, and it's why I could have that dual loyalty that I've always had all my life of loving Ole Miss and loving Alabama, but loving the Razorbacks.
Sure.
So we had a chance to catch up. It was either Darryl Hawkins or maybe it was Oliver Miller. It might have been both of them. And
they had the overlap.
Yeah, they overlapped. So they won the Southwest Conference in basketball down the stretch, and then they also, I believe, won the SEC as starting out. And it's like, to have that perspective against some of those Texas basketball teams and then to walk into some of those early Patino teams, it's awesome. So, conference history is some of the coolest thing about our sports, especially college football, and I bet your buddy loved experiencing both the Southwest Conference and SEC, and now he gets the best both worlds with Texas coming in, plus the tradition that Oklahoma brings with it to the Southeastern Conference.
I bet that was fun visiting with those guys because not only did they make the move, that last year for them in the Southwest Conference, it already had been announced that it was going to be the last year, and Arkansas was going to the SEC, and they were real good, so they were already a big target. They got treated rough on the road in that last year, and then they ushered in SEC play. It started with basketball that year. It didn't wait till the fall with football. Basketball went in January of 92, and then football came along in the fall of 92. So they leave the Southwest Conference just with a lot of vitriol, and they walk into the SEC, and those places were going, we're ready for y'all, but they really weren't because Nolan was loaded.
And, Kentucky dominated that league for years prior to Arkansas's arrival, and all of a sudden, new kid on the block can actually play a little bit, and they weren't used to seeing the same All-Americans and 6'10" guys that they would rotate in and out, and that's what Nolan Richardson had. And it was, I'll tell you what, we've talked about legendary coaches. It's really hard to gloss over what the SEC basketball had back then with Pitino and Richardson, even Lon Kruger to a certain extent. Those were the first two specifically were legendary figures. Yeah, Dale Brown. Shaq with obviously in LSU. You talk about some legends that were playing ball in the 90s in the Southeastern Conference.
Absolutely. Well, it should be a lot of fun tomorrow with this game, Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy tomorrow, and we'll do it again next Friday.
Guys, appreciate it, and looking forward to next week.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you, Ty.
Ty Richardson joining us from ESPN Arkansas. Joins us every single Friday, talk about the Razorbacks and the SEC. Was curious his thoughts on what the conference did as a whole last weekend. D+ or C-? I mean, I think a very real grade for when you look at it. Was a lot of teams playing FCS opponents, and then the big time matchups. SEC came up short in all of them.
Well, but Brian, when you lead with your chin, and it just means more, and you've won 19 out of 24 of the last national football championships, that's not too bad.
No,
you're going to get that when you don't produce.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so
you're going to get it from me, and you're going to get it here.
Definitely, absolutely. And so I thought a really, really honest answer from Ty about the weekend for the SEC. But they have this weekend, and obviously that marquee matchup for Texas against Michigan. If Arkansas could pull the upset against Oklahoma State, we could definitely be talking about a really, really big weekend for them. Same thing with Tennessee in their game against NC State. Some really, really good games. We mentioned that Mississippi State game earlier as well against Arizona State. So, we can maybe see the opposite this weekend for the SEC. Maybe they come up big in those matchups. But we need to get to another break, and when we come back, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Garagio, and dozens more. Of course, we're not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store, owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the gutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. We'll show you the inside So check them out. It's extended. You won't thank me. Check them out online at GenesisDiamonds.com.
They can't get that Central Barbecue location on Central back open soon enough.
It's still going to be a little while. They do things right at Central Barbecue. That's why every location is so unique.
I know, but there's a lot of different Central Barbecue locations, but I miss the OG, the Central Barbecue on Central.
You know, it's going to be completely different.
Well, not completely.
Yeah, when the Central Barbecue location on Central reopens, it'll be bigger, nicer, more streamlined.
But still on Central.
That's about the only thing. For the time being, until they tell us different, you can't go wrong with any of the Central Barbecue locations.
You know, I think we've broken a record for saying Central Barbecue the most times in a Central Barbecue commercial.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Now we see a wreck over here in the westbound lanes on 240 westbound at Perkins. They're still trying to mop up that earlier crash on 240 east at Getwell. That's why it's been crawling along down through here on 240 east from Mill Branch to Getwell, going eastbound on 240. That's really been a mess there for the last 30-45 minutes. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store. Go by and see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life.
Brian, here we go. We'll pick picks for tomorrow, picks for Sunday, and we'll pick Monday Night Football at 5:30 on Monday, and we do our Monday Night Football pick and preview. It's brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where customer confidence is the cornerstone. What a way to start tomorrow. Bright and early at the fairgrounds, home of the Memphis Tigers, 11 o'clock on ESPNU. The Memphis Tigers, 18.5-point favorites over the Troy Trojans. The Tigers, 15-9 versus the Sun Belt all time. 20 or more points in 28 consecutive games for the Memphis Tigers. That's the longest active streak in the nation. Seth Hennigan tied with Danny Wimprine with 81 touchdown passes. He's only 10 shy from Brady White in the all-time record. Troy, 22-4 since losing on a Hail Mary to App State in the fall of 2022. This is two teams that know winning. Let's see if we know winning. Three proud graduates, or three proud alums of the University of Memphis. You know, if you're there a day, you're an alum.
That's right.
So Connor, even without a diploma, is already an alum. We'll let true alum, graduate already, Bryant Dacus pick first.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Tigers here, and it might be because of what that diploma says. Maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, but I'll be honest, Brett, we've talked about it a lot throughout the offseason of this Memphis-Troy game could be a big one, could be one that you don't want to overlook. But I think I was really surprised with how Troy looked with all of the new pieces they had against Nevada. I was really impressed with how Memphis looked. Yeah, there were a couple things I think could be better, but I think those things will get better. I think they'll be more physical. I think that offensive line will look better in game 2. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Tigers. I know it is a big, big number at 18.5, but I will take Memphis minus 18.5.
Alumni Association, give that man a discount. Darian Newsom, another one, gets a discount. He takes the Tigers and lays the 18.5. Connor, what about you?
I got Memphis as well.
All right.
So all it needs is me, the non-graduate for a group lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Tigers to win, but just under the 18.5.
It's a big number. I don't blame you with that.
34-17 Tigers. A little bit of rope-a-dope for next week with FSU. So y'all three take Memphis. I take Troy. The Tigers win the game 34-17 at 11 on Fox. the biggest game of the early part of the season. I think the biggest game so far this year in college football. The Texas Longhorns, proud SEC members, go to the Big Ten and lay the 7.5 in Ann Arbor against last year's national champ. Darien takes Texas. Connor, who do you have?
I have Texas as well.
Bryant.
Give me the Horns. I will take Texas minus that 7.5.
Boy, you talk about two great programs. These helmets, this tradition, the fight song, second meeting ever, Sark versus Sharon Moore. First Big Ten opponent for Texas since playing Maryland in 2018. I think Greg Gaston, his son, went to that game in Austin, and Maryland won that game. They'll play again in Austin in 2027. Group lock.
Wow.
Texas wins. I have Texas 31-10. Call that number yesterday. Another 11 o'clock game, bright and early tomorrow. ABC in Stillwater. Oklahoma State minus 7.5 over the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas leads all time, 30 wins, 15 losses, 1 tie. Last meeting, 1980, 167 wins for Mike Gundy. Arkansas would love to have a coach. A lot of us would love to have a coach stays 20 years at their alma mater and wins 167 games. Arkansas has started 2-0 3 years in a row. With a win, they'll be 2-0 for 4 straight years. It'll be the first time the Razorbacks have been able to do that since Ken Hatfield did it 5 straight years in the 80s. That's a lot of numbers there. Arkansas or Oklahoma State minus 7.5. We're Pig Suey. Give me the Razorbacks straight up 27-24. And it was my I ain't scared lock of the week on Jocks yesterday.
Wow. Okay. So you're high on Arkansas this week. I'll go the opposite way. I'll take Oklahoma State minus that 7.5. I think this line would be bigger, maybe not much bigger, but I do think it would be bigger if it wasn't for what Arkansas did last week against Pine Bluff. I think this offense is moving in the right directions. I think it will still do good things against Oklahoma State, but I was really impressed with what I saw from Oklahoma State playing against South Dakota State to start the season, even though that's an FCS
people
opponent.
on upset alert.
Certainly.
And it wasn't even close.
It wasn't, and so I was really impressed with what they did, so I'll take Oklahoma State minus that 7.5.
Connor.
The 70-0 win convinced me. I got Arkansas keeping it close.
Okay, wow.
Very good. Convinced Darien as well. So 3 Arkansas picks. Brian out there by himself with Oklahoma State. College football lock time. Darien takes Marshall plus the 20.5 at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Thinking Virginia Tech still may be in a schneid after that loss last week on the road in Nashville. Connor, your lock.
My lock is Louisville minus 28.5 versus Jacksonville State.
Okay.
Bryant, your lock?
My lock is Oklahoma minus 27.5 over Houston. Houston looked awful against UNLV in their first game. OU looked great against Temple. Not even great. They looked good, but they could be better than they played against Temple. So I'll take them against that big number, 27.5. I'll take them to beat Houston.
And I just realized Darien picked an underdog in his lot, but he's new to our picking game, and he went 6-2 last year.
Yeah.
Now he won't win double like you do, but he took an underdog instead of a favorite. That's cool. So you take OU over Houston.
Yep.
Give me Bama laying the 30.5 over USF. Close call last year on the night that the stadium is being dedicated to Coach Saban. The Tide rolls. See what I did there? Tide rolls over USF. College football shock. Darien takes App State plus the 17.5 against Clemson. That is a really, really cool pick out there among a lot of people. Connor, your college football shock.
I have Duke plus 2.5 tonight against Northwestern. I think they win.
On the road. Okay, I like
I
that.
take Syracuse plus the 2.5 against week 0, darling, Georgia Tech. In fact, I have Syracuse winning like Connor has Duke winning. I have Syracuse winning 21-20. Brian, it's your college football shock.
My shock is going to be Tulsa plus 7.5 over Arkansas State.
In the neighborhood.
It absolutely is. Tulsa looked fine. They looked like a good team in their first game. On the other side, Arkansas State lost to Central Central Arkansas. I don't care what that final score said. When the refs come out after the game and say, you know what, they blew it in that one, that was the deciding
call. They did blow it. Now, but remember, they still had 3 seconds. We don't know what would have happened, but
they did.
We probably know.
You know, Brett, in my book, I'm counting that as a loss for them, especially when
It's very contentious with Central Arkansas people.
Oh, and it should be, because that would have been a massive win for them. But in all honesty, yes, both these teams 1-0, but with how Arkansas State played in that game and really needed, last play heroics to win that game, I will take Tulsa plus that 7.5. Give me a touchdown, I'll definitely take it in this one.
First Sunday of the NFL, it starts at noon on Fox with Caleb Williams making his debut as a Chicago Bear. Minus 4.5 over the Tennessee Titans. That game, as I said, on Fox with Caleb Williams, number 18, making that debut. Will Levis making his opening day debut. He didn't start last year on opening day, but started as the season wore on. Titans lead 7-6 all-time in this series. Titans last played at Soldier Field back in the 2016 season. These two teams first met when the Titans were the Houston Oilers playing the Bears in 1973. Bryant, you pick first.
I'm going to take the Titans in this one. I think, you got a young starting quarterback making his first regular season start. Yeah, he looked great in preseason. This Bears team looked great in the preseason. But regular season, I think this game is going to be close. I think Chicago could win it, but I think this will be a game that's decided by a field goal. So I'll take the Titans plus that 4.5.
Darian takes the home state team. He takes the Titans as well. Connor?
I take the Titans.
Wow.
No group lock here. You know how much I love the Bears, how much I love the Bears for this year, and how much I love that Bear helmet any year. Bears win 27-14. Noon on Fox as well. Atlanta minus 3.5 over Pittsburgh. A lot of new here. New Kirk Cousins, quarterback for the Falcons. Russell Wilson, we think, will go for the Steelers. 3.5 Atlanta over Pittsburgh at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Atlanta all-time 2 wins, 15 losses, and a tie all-time against the Steelers. They last played in 2022. They first met in the Falcons' first year as an expansion team in 1966. Give me Atlanta. Darian takes Atlanta. Connor, who do you have?
Atlanta.
Group lock time, isn't it? Bryant, your pick.
No, it's not going to be group lock time. I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this game plus the 3.5. I don't know where everybody's getting this idea that the Steelers are going to be bad. I've always known the Steelers making the playoffs under Mike Tomlin has been as consistent as ever. I think they keep this game close. I think they win this game over Atlanta. So much new with both teams.
So no group lock. We had one college group lock. We'll see if we have very many. We went 1 and 2 last week on group locks. Noon on CBS, my team to win the AFC and represent in the Super Bowl, Miami minus 3.5 over in-state rival, I guess, Jacksonville. This game it's at Hard Rock Stadium that opened as Joe Robbie Stadium, then was Pro Player Park, then was Pro Player Stadium, then was Dolphins Plural Stadium, then was Dolphins Singular Stadium, and then was Landshark Stadium, and then was Sun Life Stadium. By any name, the Dolphins hadn't had a lot of success there. Jacksonville, they lead all time in this rivalry, 6-5. Trevor Lawrence versus Tua. They played in college. Give me Miami. Darian takes Miami. Bryant.
I'm taking Miami.
Connor.
I think Miami runs away with it.
Whoa.
Group lock.
All right.
I've got Miami 31-24 in this game. Afternoon window, 3:25 on Fox. Cleveland minus 2.5. That's the number we're keying off of over Dallas. Cleveland 2.5. Cleveland leads 18-14 all time. They lead 2-1 in the postseason. That was when they were both in the NFL. And if they ever meet again in the postseason, it will have to be a Super Bowl with Cleveland now in the AFC and Dallas in the NFC. Big year for Dak. Big year for Deshaun. Give me I'm going to let Bryant pick first since the Cowboys are his team. Bryant, you pick first.
I mean, Brett, wrong team favored in this one. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because nobody's actually tuning into this game to watch the Browns versus the Cowboys. Everyone's tuning in to see Tom Brady in all of his glory make his NFL debut in the booth. So wrong team favored here. Dallas wins extremely easily. Cleveland plays. It's all Dallas on Sunday. I almost said tomorrow.
Even a well-known Cowboy hater like Darian, who's a big 49er fan, he takes Dallas.
How about that?
Connor, who do you have?
Dallas.
Absolutely.
So it just needs me, my Cowboy, our Cowboys. Connor, our Cowboys, for me to make it a group lock. I don't. Cleveland blasts them 28-7.
No.
Straight up.
No.
Blast them. 7:25 on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Last year's great run that Detroit made. A very popular pick to be back in the playoffs and go deep this year. They're a 3.5-point favorite over the Rams. Long-time NFL rivalry in a lot of different cities for both or for one side. The Rams lead 45-42-1 all time. They lead in the postseason 2-0. Dan Campbell versus Sean McVay in this one. Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams. Matt Stafford, Lions legend, maybe arguably, Barry Sanders. He might be the top player in Lions history next to Barry Sanders. I want to correct that before I even make that mistake. Give me Detroit. Detroit wins 28-20, lay the 3.5. Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit as well. I think this game could be a really, really fun game to watch. I mean, this one could be like the game we watched last night between the Chiefs and the Ravens. I'll take Detroit, but I think this game's really, really close. I had to go back and forth, and I just settled on Detroit. Should be a good one.
Darian takes Detroit. It's up to Connor for another group lock.
No.
Group lock. I'm going with the Lions.
Man, that's not
very good. Group lock now. NFL lock and shock time. Lock should be a favorite. Shocks must be an underdog. Darian takes the Chargers minus 3.5 over the Raiders. That's my NFL lock as well. Bryant, what's yours?
My lock is also the Chargers over the Raiders. I saw it at 2.5 somewhere, though, so I wrote down 2.5.
I got the ink pen. We can go 2.5.
I would much
especially
rather
since that's in my favor. And
I was about to say, I would much rather have 2.5 than 3.5.
Hold it. We could be setting up for a Friday football forecast first. We've never had college or pro a lock or shock group lock. Connor?
Man.
My group lock, or no. My NFL lock is Houston minus 3. Houston
we were
versus
close.
the Colts.
That's the closest we've ever been, isn't it, Brian?
And we have an extra person this year because usually it's just 3. Now we have 4.
Right.
So
Shock time. Darian takes Indianapolis plus the 2.5, and I take Indianapolis plus. Well, I had it down as 3.5, and since we agree, I think it will be 3.5.
Yeah, I
we
like that.
both get 3.5.
I like that.
Connor, your NFL shock.
My NFL shock is actually opposed to y'all's lock. I'm going Las Vegas plus 3.
Well, hold on, we can't do Connor like this. We're going to give him 3.5, but
fine.
we will take 2.5.
That's fine. That's cool.
Okay, because I don't want to do him like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it was 3.5 at a lot of places.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, I want to win, but I can't just purely cheat.
I mean,
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Darren and I both have Indianapolis. Connor has Vegas against the Chargers. Bryant, your NFL shot.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers plus 4.5 over the Saints. I just don't know how good the Saints team's going to be this year. I think the Panthers could be better after last season was really, really bad. I'll take the Panthers to try to keep it close against the Saints.
And Darian was listening, and he wants to stay within the rules, so he's going to give us a off-the-air college football lock and not have Marshall plus the 20.5.
That's cool. That's all cool.
That's all good. Everybody have fun with the games this weekend. That's our Friday football forecast brought to you every Friday during football season, all the way through the Super Bowl by the good people at First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, whether it's commercial, ag, hunting, recreational, I know a lot of great dove hunts tomorrow. Contact them at fnbt.com or call them at 901-498-5763. Offices over on Ridge Lake, out in Collierville. Stable, secure, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent. That's been their mission since 1886.
Way too many group locks again this week with all of these games. But that's okay. Maybe we'll have a better week than we did last week with group locks. But we need to get to a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store with 20 employees along with complete inventory of items. They deliver. Finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Weber grills. And the garden center has everything for your yard. You can get glass cut, repair screens, and your keys with key fob programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws. You need it. East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And you're just down the street at the corner of Woods and White Station.
Here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we've just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianelderroofing.com.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
The best I do's start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that the NFL is back, and it's back to all of its craziness. Last night we had the first Thursday night football game of the year, Chiefs and Ravens, and boy, did it live up to the hype. A back and forth game all night long. They got out there, They scored early, both teams did, and it was really back and forth, a really fun game. And then ultimately came down, we talked about it earlier, to that final catch by Likely. His toe, just the tip of his cleats were out of bounds, ruled incomplete, and the Chiefs get the win. So a great start. Another game tonight on a Friday in Brazil, so we'll see if the NFL continues to live up to the excitement we always know we're going to get from it.
Brian, I don't think I'm much too late as being the greatest, but in this case, college and pro, this may be as good a quarterback play era of all time in football. And one of the big reasons, and I think it's good for the consumer, is they're not getting the snot knocked out of them. They're not getting blasted by these defensive guys. They really can't be hit, and I think that's good for the consumer. Also, what I learned today, I hope Ed Scott is right. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, and hope Ed Scott is right, and he's got a good handle on this program, and hope everything will settle down. There's two sides to everything, and we get to opening night, and team play well. Also learned this. Wish we had more SEC versus Big Ten games. Texas and Michigan, and next week Bama and Wisconsin, and that's it for the year.
Yeah, how about that? It's crazy. It really is.
If you're going to be the leader of college football, lead Big Ten and SEC, and that means play.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
And the SEC is very guilty of that.
No, they definitely are. Maybe in the future we'll see more of that, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
You're going to lead.
You're right, and so hopefully we start to see more of that. What I could have done without today, it is partially part of tonight's game in Brazil. I saw earlier today that the Packers are facing potentially a 2-hour commute to the stadium for tonight's game. So a very long time of having to sit there on a bus trying to travel to the stadium. I don't know if that is, how much that will affect them, if it will, but the estimated commute is anywhere between 1.5 to 2 hours based on heavy traffic. That was reported earlier today by CBS Sports. So I know everyone's excited about Brazil and having the game, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Where are they staying? Argentina?
That's my question, is how could we not have found somewhere closer for the Packers to stay
across the street?
Exactly. It's just kind of wild to me.
That is wild. I could have done without this. Tomorrow night, and the SEC they don't set a kickoff time in opponent for non-conference opponent places. 9:30 start tomorrow night for the Bullies in Tempe against Arizona State. But a matchup of two great young coaches, Jeff Lebby versus Kenny Dillingham. Mississippi State 1-0 after beating Eastern Kentucky last week. Arizona State 1-0 after throttling Wyoming. College football world is going to hear a lot from both these young coaches.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's going to be fun to watch in that game tomorrow night. But you're right; these are two coaches that love the offensive side of the ball. They like running it down. I mean, up and down.
That's my bedtime.
That's a late one tomorrow night. I know a lot of Mississippi State fans drinking, maybe getting an afternoon coffee so they can stay up late tomorrow night. An afternoon energy
post game
drink.
Be something at the veranda in Starkville Saturday night, late on the network.
No. It's going to be whoever. I know. Connor here in the studio on the weekends for Ole Miss game. Whoever's running Mississippi State games in Starkville at the local stations. Late night for them for sure. Where are you beaming tonight?
For sure. Beam me tomorrow afternoon to the Grove, 1 o'clock airtime, alongside the quintessential pro, Gary Darby, Ole Miss in Middle Tennessee. Derek Mason at Middle Tennessee. Kickoff at 3:15. Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. So, Connor, we get an extra 15 minutes tomorrow pregame.
That?
I know you'll love that.
Oh, yeah. How could you not? A little more Ole Miss pregame never hurt anybody. Beam me tomorrow. Is a lot of really good games, I think. Obviously, beam me here locally to Tigers and Troy. But I think if you want to spread it out and go more national, how could you not beam to that game you talked about a couple minutes ago with Texas and Michigan? It should be a monster matchup tomorrow morning. Both of these brands, those logos, uniforms, a top 10 matchup. We all made our picks in Friday Football Forecast. I think all of us are pretty confident that Texas is going to get the job done tomorrow morning, but it still should be a really fun game at the Big House.
And you don't get to that level of tradition just with brands and just with logos and just with fight songs and great-looking helmets. You get there by winning, back to my big number, and all those combined wins those two teams have tomorrow. Keep a close eye on the Tigers' run game without Sutton Smith. Mario Anderson must be as advertised. Texas at Ann Arbor, Arkansas and Stillwater, Tennessee and Charlotte, State at Tempe. One SEC league game, UK hosting South Carolina tomorrow, SEC versus ACC, with Cal visiting the Plains. Kansas State at Ullman playing Tulane. Sneaky good game.
Yeah, no, that should be a really fun one. A ton of good action tomorrow, whether you're going down to Oxford or going down the street to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Should be a fun day of football. Enjoy the weekend. That's all the time we have. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.